And welcome to the ballpark in Arlington. And midsummer conditions, temperatures in the 90s for the final day of the regular season as the Texas Rangers host the American League West champion Oakland Athletics in their final postseason tune-up. There are still some issues on the table to be decided in the American League, including home field advantage throughout the American League postseason. Right now, the Yankees have taken a 5-1 lead on the Baltimore Orioles. Fourth inning of that game. If they win, they clinch the home field. If they lose and the A's win, well, the Yankees may still be at work tomorrow against Tampa Bay in a makeup game. They do own the tiebreaker in that race. Welcome to Arlington. Dave Barnett and Tony Gwynn. So that's out there. Also out there is the American League MVP issue. And there are those who think that it should only go to a player headed to the postseason, and that would describe Miguel Tejada of Oakland.
No question about it. I mean, he's done everything that the Oakland A's have asked him to do. Art House put him in the number 3 hole. He's hit 34 homers. He's driven in 100 runs. He's just been the go-to guy for the Oakland A's. And so I don't think Art can ask anything more from him except hopefully carrying him a little bit, distance in the playoffs.
Oakland record 203 hits, 2 more home runs last night. On the other hand, there are those, and I think we're both in this camp, that say, why penalize a player who's had a year like A-Rod just because his team is not headed to the postseason?
Well, I agree with that. I just think that A-Rod's numbers this year are so much better than anybody else's, and I don't see why he should be penalized. I mean, 57 homers, 120 runs scored, 140 runs knocked in. And the key thing for me is this year he's a much better defensive player than he was last year. And so you put all that together, we got a healthy argument going in the American League with about 5 guys involved in this thing. But I think A-Rod's going to win it.
Best hitter, best defensive shortstop. He's in everything but pitch. Barry Zito has done that about as well as anybody. An American League high 22 wins, and he goes for number 23 today as we close 2002 for the regular season. The Rangers take the field for the final time in 2002 here at the ballpark in Arlington. Dave Barnett and Tony Gwynn. Art Howe headed to another American League Division Series, and he hopes a lot more than that this year. His 7th as the manager of the A's, and he can get his 600th win in this job here today. A's have taken the first 2 of this series, and he rested a lot of the frontliners last night, but today this is a pretty good look, Tony, at what will be his postseason lineup.
Yeah, it's probably a good bet this will be his postseason lineup. You want to, once they got in, they give guys a day off, let them rest. But now, this is the lineup they want to go. And the key guy in the lineup for me is going to be Chavez. Tejada's done everything for Oakland, but they're going to need more than one guy swinging a hot bat. And if Eric Chavez can get going, that just makes this a much better lineup.
Chavez slumping at the moment. Joaquin Benoit, one of the Ranger hopes for the next few years, that they may at some point have some competitive pitching. They've been among the worst pitching staffs in the last 3 years, but Benoit has given them some good outings. Goes for his 13th start today, and just age 25, coming off a win Tuesday against Anaheim. One of his best outings with the Rangers. Won 2-1, went 7 innings. Retired 11 of the first 12 Angels he faced. And over his last 3 starts, 1-1 with an ERA of 3.24. The Ranger defense featuring Pudge Rodriguez maybe for the final time as a Ranger. Yet to be decided, and it'll be the issue here in Arlington over the offseason. A free agent. Rangers have said, why not test the market? They don't think there is going to be much of a market, and a lot of people are speculating that if that's the case, then they may come to a 1-year deal and see where he is health-wise and see where the market is this time next year.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I think that's the question. You hear the little snippets from other opposing teams about A-Rod and I-Rod and his catching style, and loving to throw but not really calling a good game or blocking balls well. He's a free agent. We'll find out.
Ray Durham squares up, and strike 1 from Benoit. Durham, the DH, at 289, 15 home runs, acquired from the White Sox on July 25th. A typical Billy Bean deal. Gave up minor league pitcher, and they have a top talent at leadoff, who has again scored more than 100 runs this year. He has every year since 1997.
Getting Ray Durham, I'm sure now it really looks good now that they've made the playoffs. But you know, the thing he brings to the Oakland A's lineup is speed at the top, and he's got some pop too. He can hit the ball out of the ballpark. But without him, really there aren't too many guys in his A's lineup who are a threat to steal some bases, and so Durham's been a nice addition.
2-2, 25 stolen bases for Durham. Durham before the first pitch.
Just a hello.
A little greeting.
How you doing on this Sunday morning, the last day of the season?
Hi, Pudge. Hi, home plate umpire Paul Nowert.
Yeah, for some of us.
And Benoit ready at 2-2. Durham down on strikes to start the day.
Benoit came right at him, too. Not much off-speed stuff, just coming at him with good, hard fastballs. Threw it right by Ray Durham.
Benoit now to face Scott Hatteberg, the A's first baseman. So he will go down in A's history as the man who replaced Jason Giambi in very representative numbers. Nobody expected Giambi-like numbers. But in September, there have been few hotter hitters. 356 this month for Hatteberg, 9th best in the American League.
A lot of those hits here in September have been big hits to either tie the game or give the Oakland A's the lead. And I don't think if you'd have asked Art Houck if he got 61 RBIs from him, I think he would have taken that. I don't think he would have been upset with that at all. He's come in, done a nice job defensively around first base. We see Miguel Tejada standing on the on-deck circle.
1-2 to Hatteberg. Those 61 RBIs, a career high. The 15 home runs, also a career high. So Hatteberg has had his best year ever at a good time, helping Oakland win 102 games and their 12th American League West title. 2-2. And Art Howe has DH'd Hatteberg mostly early in the season, 41 of the first 53 games, and most of the last 2/3 of the season or so. It's been Hatteberg at first. That's where he is today. Breaking ball misses and the count is full. A's, since their 20-game winning streak, have come back to earth as they had to. 14-8 since the streak ended. But 34 out of their last 42. And an opposite field shot coming on, trying to make a sliding catch as Jason Hart, and just missing. So Hatteberg aboard with one out with a first base hit.
Hatteberg didn't try to pull that ball. He went right with it. Dropped it in front of Minch. Benoit had been pounding the fastball away by hitters, and Hatteberg just decided to go with it. Nice effort.
Hart, who came over last offseason from the A's organization. So Hatteberg at first, and here is Tejada, who last night hit number 33 and number 34 to the same fan in the same seat.
That's pretty awesome.
In left field.
It's like Tejada had a nice relationship with that one fan out there.
Well, if he didn't before, he should now.
Absolutely. Just, you see that guy out there? I'm gonna hit 2 balls to him tonight.
High again, 2-0. I mean, I went the first 37 years that I attended Major League games, never came close to a ball, foul or fair. So what would you calculate the odds of getting 2 balls in the same game from any combination of players, much less from the same player?
And especially home run balls, not foul balls.
Benoit to him now, 3 balls and no strikes. Eric Chavez on deck.
And this is kind of a preview of what could happen in a postseason, where obviously Tejada swinging a hot bat. You don't want to let him beat you, and so maybe you pitch around him a little bit.
which Benoit apparently had in mind all along. First and second one out for Chavez. This was last night. And mark that fan in that seat, because you'll see him again.
Yeah, with the red Texas hat.
He's got to be thinking this couldn't be happening.
My man.
It's where you turn a Ranger fan into an A's fan, or at least a Miguel Tejada fan.
So you hit 2 home runs in the previous game. You know, you're going to get pitched around, and so that makes this guy right here, Eric Chavez, an important guy.
And Benoit coming right after him with a strike.
You know, that last at bat, it's pretty obvious Benoit wasn't going to have anything to do with Tejada. The 4 wide ones. And so Chavez, Dye, Justice, the guys who bat after him, now these guys are going to have to be productive. Otherwise, you know, it can happen in a whole series.
0-1 pitch is bounced through the hole on the right side, and Hatteberg coming home. Here's the throw from Kevin Minch. It is up the line, and it is 1-0 A's. RBI number 108 for Chavez.
You know, even though it wasn't pretty, he threw him a changeup there, and he stayed back on it enough to hit it in the hole between first and second to drive in the run. Look, he took a little bit off of that, and Chavez just kind of one hand flips this ball right in the hole. And sometimes that's good enough to get the job done. Give Oakland an early lead.
Brought Hatteberg home. He'll take it because Chavez and a few of the A's, in fact, have slumped as September has closed. He's 157 over the 13 games coming in today. Here's Jermaine Dye, 23 homers, 82 driven in. His 4th straight season of at least 20 home runs.
And the other thing is, in September, you know, there's scouts from every team that's, you know, going to go to the playoff, go to the postseason. And you want to probably try to put a good impression on them. You don't want them to, you don't want those scouts to feel like, hey, you can be pitched to them. So you want to kind of set an example now.
On the outside corner, and the game the A's are following today is now in the bottom of the 5th inning, and the Yankees, as we said when we hit the air, have extended their lead to 5-1 over Baltimore. So the A's chances of getting home field through the playoffs, home field should they face the Yankees again, are dimming by the minute.
You know, it'd be interesting to see what Art Howe does if they do, if the Yankees go on to win this game. Because then there's nothing else at stake except for individual numbers. See if he can give these guys maybe half an afternoon off instead of maybe full.
Most of them had last night off, but they still won. Pop straight up. Rodriguez just a few feet away from the plate in foul ground for out number 2. Everything Pudge does today, look for an ovation, because he is arguably the 2nd most popular player and the most popular position player in the history of this franchise, behind only Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes it's hard because Pudge was in this situation before and decided that he wanted to stay, and as you can see, those were the kind of shirts that were here the last time, and he decided to sign and stay, and now I think it's they know what Pudge can do. It's an issue of, you know, how much money is he going to want to stay.
How much money, and the fact that he's in his early 30s now, and for the 3rd straight year has had injury issues.
Well, when you're a catcher, you know, I think they see it coming. Pudge wants to catch. He wants to still be the everyday catcher. He doesn't want to go play another position. He does not want to DH every day. He's a catcher, and he wants to catch. And I think he's got that eye on Johnny Bench's record for Gold Gloves, and he'd like an opportunity to break that.
Going for his 11th. 1-1 to David Justice. 2 on and 2 out, and the A's have a 1st inning run. Justice sends this one to right. Into the shadows drifts Mensch. And the A's will settle for that one run in the top half of the first, and now they will send 22-game winner Barry Zito to the mound to face the Rangers. In front, and now they send Barry Zito out, 22-5, 278 earned run average. Cy Young numbers any way you stack it up for him. The Rangers not only maybe looking at Pudge Rodriguez's last game in Texas, but there's a lot of speculation this could also be the last for manager Jerry Merritt. There have been meetings scheduled between general manager John Hart and the scouting and player personnel folks, and Jerry has not been invited. In fact, he is headed home to North Carolina the minute this game ends.
Wow. That's usually not a good sign.
Although he has generally gotten high marks for his work the last couple of years here. Young, Perry, A-Rod, and then Rafael Palmeiro, who's had a very typical year, 43 home runs. Combined with A-Rod's 57, they have combined for 100, and very few times in history has that ever happened.
And Palmeiro's still swinging a bat great. And this guy's throwing it great.
Only Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling have more wins. The unit was 24, Schilling was 23. Fourth most in Oakland history for a single season. And over the last 2 years, only Mark Mulder, his teammate, has more wins combined in the American League. Zito going for his 40th since the start of 2001. And ready to deal to the Rangers second baseman Michael Young. Young, who has gotten very high marks for his defense. He has the second highest fielding percentage among American League second basemen. Very athletic. Shows a lot of good signs at the plate. And is one of the few hitters who can say he has had the better of Barry Zito. He's 353 lifetime with a home run off Zito. 6 out of 17.
Zito's a three-pitch pitcher. Fastball, curveball, devastating curveball, and a really good change.
Young sends that one foul, 2-2. And we'll check the Oakland defense behind Zito. Again, look for this group to be the regular postseason alignment for Art Howe. 2-2. And an opposite field shot headed toward the gap. Fielded by Dye, up with it in time to hold Young to a leadoff single. His advantage in their head-to-head duels with Zito continues.
After he pulled that ball, that fastball in, pulled it foul to left field, he stayed back nice and hit this ball the other way. Little base hit.
Young, decent speed, not a whole lot of stolen bases, 6 out of 13. He's aboard for Herbert Perry, who has had a career year. Not many bright spots for the Rangers in the 72 and 89 year, but Herbert Perry's play has been one of them. Backs at the first pitch. Those 22 homers a career high, 77 driven in, also a career high. And the third career high is a big factor for those first two numbers. Career high games.
Yeah.
This is his 132nd.
Herbert Perry reminds me a lot of Bubba Trammell with the Padres last year. When he got some consistent at bats, he put some really good numbers up. And Perry did that this year with the Rangers, getting some consistent games and seeing those ABs every day. It really makes a difference with some of these guys.
Well, they started this year thinking that the rookie Hank Blaylock would have third base, and he had to be sent down because of his bat. Mike Lamb played some there. Perry some there, some first, some DH. He's been versatile. He's behind 0-2. The Rangers have been pleased enough with him that he's earned a 2-year contract extension. Signed about 3 weeks ago through the 2004 season.
You know, that makes playing a whole lot easier when you don't have to, worry about where you're going to be next year.
Young held by Hatteberg at first. The 0-2 from Zito is bounced foul to the third base coach Steve Smith. Rangers have lost First two of this series, 12 of their last 15, following one of their few hot streaks of the year. They won 9 of 11 at one point. In that span, they basically eliminated Seattle. They swept a 4-game series here from the Mariners, virtually ending all Seattle postseason hopes. Although mathematically they were still in the wild card picture until a couple of days ago. And Anaheim finally closed them out. A-Rod in the on-deck circle. Hoping he can close with number 58 maybe today. Perry down on strikes with a high inside fastball.
That was a nice job of pitching by Zito. Worked both halves of the plate. Look at that. That last pitch was a cutter. And he got it up and it tied Perry up and he couldn't catch up with it. Look at that ball bearing down on his hands. That's just a good pitch for a left-handed pitcher to throw a right-handed hitter.
Good matchup here now. Zito and A-Rod leading the majors in homers and RBIs. And the first since Cecil Fielder in 1991 to do that. And has, of course, broken his own record for home runs by a shortstop in the season. 52 last year, which was also the club record. And now he has shattered that again. .57 homers, also the most by anyone in the American League since Maris's 61 in 61. Now Tejada has had an MVP type year most years, but the one area where you really have to go with A-Rod is that category where Tejada has 34.
Yeah, I mean, he scored enough runs, he's knocked in enough runs. He's just done everything. You know, the individual thing that he's going for today is it looks like he's going to need at least one hit so he can hit 300.
There is the Zito curve. Does anybody have a better one?
I don't think so. And it doesn't seem to matter if you're left-handed or right-handed. When he's able to snap that baby in there like that, you know, you're going to get buckles from left-handed hitters, but you get a little bit of a buckle from right-handed hitters too, and that tells you how good it is.
Never hit off Bert Blyleven, did you?
Yeah, I did. Yes, I did. And he had the best one I saw for a long, long time.
How close is this one?
Bert, he could throw his a couple different speeds. He could throw you the big slow breaking ball, or he can throw you the quick one. And it looks like Zito's is pretty much the same. It's just a good overhand curveball.
They almost treat his velocity as a bonus.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that he can get it up well into the 90s is not the featured aspect of what he brings to the mound.
See, to me, that's the thing that keeps hitters honest, is that they know Zito can throw 92, 93. And so you just can't go up there looking. You can't go sit on the breaking ball. You got to look for the fastball. And you mix in the above average breaking ball and really a good changeup to go along with him being able to cut the fastball, and it's a tough chore every day.
Young going, and that'll prevent the double play as Tejada bounces one over to Hatteberg in time to get A-Rod. And let's check into the studio with Reese Davis.
Dave, Oakland off to a good start and doing its part to get home field in the American League. Yankees not cooperating. They're up 6-1 on Baltimore. Alfonso Soriano called out on strikes there. He's 0 for 4. He, of course, trying to hit his 40th home run to go 40-40. Keep you up to date on all those stories all throughout the day.
Well, that's been a long quest now for number 40 for Soriano.
It's been a long quest for him and a short one, really, for Vladimir Guerrero, who looked like he might have had 40 last night and fell about an inch short.
Here is Rafael Palmeiro, and the curve stays high. Palmeiro with 43. Third best in the American League, is driven in 104, hitting 273. Doesn't matter how old he gets, you just pencil in those numbers every year.
Yeah, I mean, he's still got one of the sweetest strokes in baseball. He gets both lefties and righties. You know, his stroke has been consistent. And as you get older, the hardest thing is not keeping the stroke intact. It's, you know, it's after you've hit the ball, all the things that come after that. That's what you worry about. But his stroke is still as good as it's been the last 5-6 years.
Goes after that one, 2 balls and a strike. He and A-Rod with 100. That's only the 5th time teammates have ever combined for 100. Well, the pity of it is that they have done it on a team that's been out of the running really since the 2nd week of the season. Pop back out of play. But on the other hand, does that make it in some sense more impressive because they haven't had a race to motivate them every day?
I'm kind of partial to that one because for most of my career I did it that way. You know, you're always a spoiler. You're always trying to knock somebody else off. To me, it's impressive, but you know that's what they get paid for.
The curve is pounded toward the corner, and Young will come home with the tying run. RBI number 105 for Rafi.
So that's what the good hitters do against the good pitchers. They battle, they work the count till they get something good to hit, and then they hit it. This is a hanging, breaking ball. He stays on it nice, lines it in the right field, ties the ball game.
Listen to this ovation for Pudge Rodriguez. You can make all your arguments about what's best for the franchise and what might he bring had they pulled the trigger on a trade. They said there really wasn't a trade market for him this year and how much he might cost. Nobody in this park is thinking about anything other than what he has brought to this park and Arlington Stadium before it since he came up at age 19. Arguably the best catcher ever.
He's a Ranger, you know, and you know, he's played his whole career here, and this is the guy that Ranger fans identify with.
Tejada will force Palmeiro and end the inning. Fans don't care. They're just happy to see Pudge as much as possible today. Rangers have tied it at 1.
Yeah, well, we go to Minnesota on Friday after
right.
that, and then it's just kind of like you're in limbo. Maybe you go to San Francisco, maybe not.
That's the excitement of it, right?
It's playoff baseball. You know you're going to see a good game every day, or every game that you do. So
Oakland will host Minnesota in that first round. Here's Mark Ellis, rookie second baseman, who comes in at 274 and among American League rookies. Second in run score, 4th in walks, triples, and 5th in hits. Rocket foul. Pairings look this way. Oakland, Minnesota, opening at Network Associates Coliseum. Wildcard Angels will open at the Yankees, and the National League Diamondbacks and Cardinals with the home field an issue right up until this final weekend between those two. And the Giants, who wrapped up the wild card yesterday, will take on the team that has long had the best record in the National League East, the Braves. Art Howe has skippered another Oakland 100-game winner.
you know, you look at those pairings too. It doesn't seem like there's a dull series. I mean, all 4 of them I think are going to be outstanding.
No one will go in with more impressive pitching staff, and it'll be a 3-man staff than what Art Howe will throw out there with Tim Hudson, Mark Mulder, and Zito. Ellis works the leadoff walk here in the second. There's a question, though, about what Minnesota has in store in terms of their starting pitching. As Benoit continues to struggle with his control, he walked Tejada in the first, Ellis to lead off the second, and hits Terrence Long.
Terrence Long looked like he was just going to take a pitch, and Benoit held on to this one just a bit too long and hits him right on the hip bone.
Smart for a while. He's down at first as Ellis moves on to second, and the number 9 hitter, the catcher Ramon Hernandez, to face Benoit, who gave up singles to Hatteberg and Chavez in the first. The RBI from Eric Chavez. Rangers matched it on Rafael Palmeiro's RBI in the bottom half of the first. And Hernandez finally sees his strike. He is another of the Oakland hitters slumping this month. 218 in September. Only 1 home run since August 6th.
And that's what I meant about other guys in the Oakland Athletic lineup who are going to have to swing the bat to give the A's a chance, because they're really a bunch of free swingers. And I'm sure if they needed to be patient, they will be. And I think in the postseason, I think you have to be a little bit. But you take Durham out of the lineup, and it's not a team that's going to steal a whole lot of bases.
Right now, let's send it to Reese Davis in the studio.
All right, guys, Sammy Sosa earlier today hit home run number 49 on the season, 499 for his career. Cubs in Pittsburgh in the 5th. Let's go out to Wrigley Field and join Chip Carey as Sammy swings for history.
Start leads Anaheim into the postseason, and Art Howe very quietly once again has that Oakland team playing great.
I go with Ronnie Gardner. I mean, here's a team that was almost contracted, and all of a sudden they find themselves one of the best records in all of baseball. They got a great young nucleus over there at Minnesota, and I think it's all because of what Tom Kelly has given Ronnie Gardenhire, and Gardenhire did a tremendous job.
1 ball, no strikes. Runners at the corners. Cubs looking to add to the lead. The pitch to Sammy is over but low, I guess. 2-0 your count. Jason Stark says he would give it to Mike Scioscia because last year Anaheim finished farther out of first place than Tampa Bay. Biggest improvement in over 100 years from one season to the next in the American League. Interesting cases can be made for all.
You're right.
2-0 to Sammy. He laid off that time. 3 balls, no strikes, and it looks like Mr. Fogg isn't giving in.
No, you think 3-0 Sammy will have a green light?
Oh, yeah.
This is a situation, even if it's not a strike, this is when you go ahead and swing to buy yourself one more pitch. I would not be surprised if Sammy goes ahead and swings at this pitch.
3 balls, no strikes. He did swing, and he fouled it away.
He got a good pitch. That was a pretty good pitch right there. Fastball may have been down just a tad, but he bought himself at least one more pitch. That's your fastball. And I'll tell you what, that fastball is right there. That was a very good pitch for Sammy.
Crowd on its feet. He's sitting on 499. The pitch is high, and they're loaded. So give Sosa credit. He's playing the game, playing good baseball. He's not trying to expand that strike zone. He's taking what the opposition gives, and they give him a walk here in this 5th inning.
And the crowd disperses once again.
You know, the 17 men in the 500 club hit number 500 in 17 different ballparks. Wrigley Field hoping to host 2 of them. Ernie Banks hit number 500 there. We'll keep you up to date, guys.
All right, Reese, thanks. And the one thing you don't want to do is walk Sosa today. Fans are going to let you hear about that.
Yeah.
Here, Ramon Hernandez popped to A-Rod, and Ray Durham lined out to hard and left. And so Hatteberg batting now with still Ellis at second, Long at first, and 2 outs in the second. 1-1 from Benoit. He began the inning by walking Ellis and then hitting Long. We will track Sosa's bid for number 500 throughout the afternoon. You won't miss a Sammy Sosa at bat. 1-1. Stays high. Benoit reached the record books September 3rd in a very odd way for the longest save in baseball history. This is grounded to the right side, and a diving stop by Young will end the inning. And Benoit works out of the first and second nobody out threat. Back to Rhys Davis.
Rarely does a game on the final day between two teams that combined 63.5 out of first place mean so much. Tigers and Blue Jays, the legendary voice of the Tigers, Ernie Harwell's final day behind the mic.
Pena digging in, waiting. Here's the set, the pitch. Swing and a miss. And the Toronto Blue Jays win it, the final game of 2002. The final score, the Blue Jays 1 and the Tigers nothing. Hey, hey, hey. The Tigers have just finished their 2002 season, and I've just finished my baseball broadcasting career. And it's time to say goodbye, but I think goodbyes are sad, and I'd much rather say hello. Hello to a new adventure. I'm not leaving, folks. I'll still be with you, living my life in Michigan, my home state, surrounded by family and friends. And rather than goodbye, please allow me to say thank you. Thank you for letting me be part of your family. Thank you for taking me with you to that cottage up north, to the beach, the picnic, your workplace, and your backyard. Thank you for sneaking your transistor under the pillow as you grew up loving the Tigers. Now, I might have been a small part of your life, but you've been a very large part of mine, and it's my privilege and honor to share with you the greatest game of all. Now, God has a new adventure for me, and I'm ready to move on. So I leave you with a deep sense of appreciation for your long-time loyalty and support. I thank you very much, and God bless all of you.
Ernie Harwell, a legend. 55 seasons calling games, 42 of them with the Tigers. He was a brilliant broadcaster. And, you know, Reese from Flint never caught that foul ball down the side, but I caught plenty of great broadcasts from a fine broadcaster. Ernie Harwell finishes his career for the Tigers.
And would you expect him to go out any other way?
I mean, just he's pure class.
Probably the most eloquent Hall of Fame speech I think I've ever heard. And that may be the most eloquent farewell speech, or hello speech, as the case may be. So to the bottom of the second, Kevin Metch, Hank Blaylock, Jason Hart. Ranger youth they hope will continue to develop. Metch, the right fielder today. 3 hits last night. We get the average to 262. 15 home runs, but only 1 over his last 46 games. What he showed them immediately when he came up was big power, as well as a big head.
Yeah.
If you watch Sports Center, you know about that.
Yeah.
The biggest head probably in sports. Size 8, I think. 8 plus, maybe.
That's Bruce Bochy range. Size 8.
Maybe he only ties Bruce
Yeah,
Bochy
maybe
for
so.
big
So
head.
they can share it.
It's quite an honor. 2-2.
You're right. He hit with big power when he first came up, but you know now September baseball for these young guys is really a chance for them to see exactly what they can do. And the hardest thing about playing in the big leagues for young guys is being consistent.
Off the fist and back over the screen. So Lynch has not followed up his good start. Only 205 over his last 27 games. But my question for you about the Minnesota pitching rotation. They have Rick Reed scheduled for Game 3 to oppose Barry Zito. Reed arguably has been their best pitcher. Would you wait for Game 3 to get him in, as Mensch will fly out to long?
Well, see, I wondered the same thing, because you're right. Reed, to me, has been their best pitcher, been their healthiest pitcher. And he's the one guy that's gotten consistent innings. And you see Radke's going to throw Game 1. Joe Mays, who was injured for, the early part of the season, is going to throw Game 2. And Reed looks like he's only going to pitch one time in this, if you know, unless they can get by the A's.
And it'll be at the Metrodome, while he's been by far their best road pitcher. 7-3 with a 367 away from the dome.
Well, Ron Gardenhire, he knows his club better than we know. So, you know, I'm just going to go with whatever decision he makes and sit back and watch and see what happens.
That you can't argue with.
Yeah.
Laylock down on 3 pitches. Second strikeout for Barry Zito.
Once again, it gets back for these young guys. You know, you have to find out what you're going to be able to do here at the big league level when you're facing a guy like Zito, you know, who's getting ready for his first postseason work since last year. Polished guy. Offensively, you need to find out what you need to do, how you need to get better. You know, what things work. And sometimes you're going to get abused. You're going to get abused early in your career, and you just take your notes and you hope to improve from it.
Most of the early curves from Zito have stayed high. That one does to Jason Hart, the left fielder. Good numbers with Oklahoma after coming over from the A's organization in a 6-player trade in January. Three balls and no strikes to the number 8 hitter, who has 3 major league hits, all against Oakland. First hit was a week ago today, a double. Right through with a strike. Came up from Oklahoma September 9th. Also was up very briefly in mid-August.
You know, Zito's delivery, it just looks like there's no effort at all. Just like he's playing catch with Hernandez. In the windup, nice and easy delivery, easy follow through.
Seems like those are the guys who stay healthy.
Yeah, you know, good mechanics.
That will hook foul. Zito trying to fight back from 3-0 behind. One of the trio of A's aces with this 102-game winner on a bargain budget. Ruben Rivera on deck, and he did come back from 3-0 to strike out hard, his 3rd strikeout. And the Rangers go in order here in the second. Still 1-1 at the ballpark in Arlington. And we again return you to the studio and Reese Davis.
Helped to give us information all season long. And Chris,
all right, we're going to take you right now out to the Cincinnati-Montreal game. Montreal's up 7-2 in the 8th. Eichen's at the plate right now against Joey Hamilton, but Vladimir Guerrero is on deck. 40 stolen bases, 39 home runs on the season, trying to go 40-40. He's 1 for 4 in this game, 336. Let's join Fox Sportsnet Ohio, George Grand, and Chris Welsh with the call.
Does a good job, and he also doesn't do a bad job as when he doubles as our statistician up here on our broadcasts.
Except his stats didn't add up right this year.
Yeah, we thought we'd get more wins out of this, Gary. How about putting a little eraser to that scorecard of yours like you do in golf?
Senior Gary. The guys in the truck, Gary, give you the credit. They say the extra wins this year are because of you, not because of anybody else. That's bang foul. Count stays 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now the big cat.
All right, those of you watching the Mets and the Braves game, we're going to take you out to Montreal. Cincinnati and the Expos is 7-2 in the 8th. Nobody out. We are awaiting the at-bat from Vladimir Guerrero. He's 1 for 4 on the day, 336 on the season, but of course he is looking for his 40th home run. Nice running catch out there in center field by Taylor. Reggie Taylor making the nice play up against the wall. We will see now if Vlad can hit one just a little bit farther. Fox Sportsnet Ohio on the call, George Gwynn and company. Here comes Vlad.
Sitting on 39 homers, hoping for number 40, are these Expos fans. Joey Hamilton in his career facing Guerrero. Guerrero 8 for 12 and a home run against Joey Hamilton. Top foul, a ball and a strike. Today, Guerrero lined to second, flied to right, doubled to center off the wall, and then struck out looking against Jared Fernandez. He wants the baseball checked after they toss him one. Well, whether he gets 40 or not, he's had a magnificent season. And Chris, we talk about American League MVP. Even though this team is out of it, Vladimir Guerrero in any year can be called an MVP candidate. Line to right, that's foul, and into the seats.
Joey Hamilton coming right after him. He's given Vladimir a couple of pitches to work with.
1 ball, 2 strikes. This crowd hanging on every pitch. It's Hamilton against Vladimir. He holds on it. Did he go? Oh, no! First base umpire Alfonso Marquez said he went around and the Expos dugout is all over it. Let's take a look. Does he go?
Vladimir getting no love from the umpires. Last night, first base umpire Brian O'Nora called an apparent home run. A non-home run, said it bounced over the wall, and now he's rung up and probably his last at bat of the game. Now back to your game.
He's got a...
Oh,
Man.
Tony.
That is so...
You can't do that.
See, there are people who watch the game who think there's a star system. That things don't, you know, that anytime a star does something, he always gets his way. You know, the umpires are trying to do what they, you know, trying to make the right call. Doesn't matter who it is. But in that situation, I mean, Montreal hadn't had all that much to cheer about. Let the guy swing the bat.
Especially if it's borderline.
Don't take the bat out of his hand. Give him an opportunity.
Well, meanwhile, after Benoit got ahead 0-2 on Tejada, he walked him, and he has now walked the batter every inning. Second straight inning, he walks the leadoff hitter. And he gets Eric Chavez, who drove in the A's run in the first.
But then there's a cardinal rule on the last day of the season.
That blast headed to the gap, right center field. One hop against the wall. Tejada being waved around from third. Here comes the relay to the plate. Pudge has it blocked, but they call him safe. Tejada got the corner of the plate before Pudge got the mitt out in front, and it's 2-1 Oakland.
And that cardinal rule is be hacking. Most umpires are going to, you know, on the last day of the season, want to see a quick game, throw strikes, and get the calls. You know, Chavez got a ball up here and drove it into right center field. And everything by the Rangers was perfect, really. Rivera comes up, makes a decent enough throw to Young, who throws a one-hop ball to the plate. And Pudge had it, lost the handle on it, and that was enough for the run to score. You see Tejada looking in. It was kind of a short hop ball, a difficult ball for Pudge to handle, and it just kind of came flying out of his glove.
Boy, and Tejada didn't give him any body to tag either. He curled all the way around Pudge and then just stuck that hand out there.
You know, he tries to almost like sneak in the back door there and get his hand in.
Good angle there to show the ball loose before the tag, and a good call by Paul Noward at the plate. Now 2-0 to Jermaine Dye.
This Oakland A's team is just, to me, an impressive club. They do a lot of different things. You know, they got some guys who can get the ball out of the ballpark. They got some good line drive hitters.
Line drive here, snagged by Blaylock on a hop. And Chavez staying put after the first out.
Dye hit a bullet to third, and Blaylock made a nice play staying with it. And this ball was up, and Guy just smoked it to third. Blaylock made a nice play, staying with him, throwing him out.
Rangers counting on his bat to come around. He has had as impressive minor league numbers at the plate as any player the last few years, not just in their organization. 350, 360 hitter. Got up here and tried to swing for the fences and abandoned his line drive stroke, which got him here. And they've had to send him back down to try and regain that stroke. Way out in front, Justice.
Sometimes when you're playing on a team with guys who can bang, like an A-Rod, a Palmeiro, Gonzalez when he's healthy, you know, it's hard not to do what the other guys do.
Infield comes in, and Justice strokes one to right field to bring Chavez home with the second run of the inning, and it's 3-1 Oakland. As Justice gets his 49th run batted in.
Well, Justice is just a professional hitter. You know, once again, he's going to the postseason, and once again, he'll probably be a factor, you know, in the Oakland A's lineup.
All-time leader postseason appearances. Played in about 2/3 of the equivalent of an entire regular season, just playoffs and World Series. 107 games. Strike one to Ellis.
Well, if you see Dave Justice on your team, know there's a good chance you're going to be playing in the postseason somewhere. With the Braves, with the Yankees, Indians. Now Oakland.
He is the good luck charm. On the outside corner, and 0-2. Speaking of the Yankees, they are getting close to closing out home field in the American League. Now in the 8th inning, still leading the O's, and now up to 6-1. But the way Oakland started this year, 20-26 as late as May 23rd. What odds would you have given them to even have a shot at equaling the Yankees on the final day of the season?
Yeah, I sure wouldn't have thought that.
Ellis reaches. Second strikeout for Benoit.
You know, early in the year, they just looked like they were dead in the water. They had no momentum. It just seemed like everything was going wrong. The pitching wasn't good. The defense wasn't good. You know, Tejada really was the only one hitting, and you know, Art Howe and Billy Beane decided they were going to make some changes. And one of the changes was putting Tejada in the 3-hole. Another one of the changes was also getting rid of Jason Giambi. Jeremy Giambi. And people questioned that. People wondered, you know, what's going on here? What are we doing? He's supposed to be one of our better players. And really, from that point on, the A's have been really unbelievable with in the middle of that, a 20-game win streak, which in the game of baseball, I just can't even begin to try to explain to you how difficult it is to win 20 games in a row. Yet alone in the big leagues, but period, just to win that many games in a row is very tough.
Might be the most impressive streak since the Lakers' 33 games.
That's what I was thinking the exact same thing. You know, I happened to be at the game where Hatteberg hit the home run to make it 20.
Oh, yeah, it was the way they kept it going.
And that was a game they were way up.
Blasted to center field. Ruben Rivera drifting over in front of the track. But the A's get 2 more in the third. They take a 3-1 lead on Texas. 3-1 lead, pretty close to a sure thing, but we've got a long way to go here in Arlington. And then tonight, Sunday Night Football, featuring a team in turmoil. Randy Moss will star, but can the Vikings set aside the off-the-field problems? And can Dante Culpepper lead and lift this team above this most recent setback? They take on the Seahawks on Sunday Night Football tonight at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN. Also available in Spanish on ESPN Deportes. Get started with NFL Primetime at 7:30. Characters, but I don't recall a baseball player ever doing what Randy Moss did this week.
No, me either. And it's going to be interesting to see.
You know, he's likely to catch 15 balls for 300 yards tonight.
You're right. You know, and that's how dynamic he is as a player.
4 touchdowns. Ruben Rivera, the number 9 hitter for the Rangers, hitting 205. Of those 4 homers, 3 have come against Oakland. Go figure. He shows bunt. One of the upsets in baseball is the fact that Rivera was picked up by anybody after the way his season began with the locker room thievery incident with the Yankees. But Tom Hicks, the owner here, and John Hart proved over and over again they don't really factor in a player's background when they make acquisitions. Proved it with Carl Everett and John Rocker, and again with Ruben Rivera. And he worked his way up from AAA July 11th.
I played with Ruben. Ruben was in San Diego for a couple of years. He really hasn't lived up to the potential that everybody put on him when he was with the Yankees.
Well, he's been there. Has he ever shown any progress in learning to hit, the mental aspect of hitting?
No, I don't think so. He tries hard, but I really don't think he understands all that goes into it. You know, but the thing about him is he's so athletic. I mean, to play all 3 outfield positions, has really gotten a lot better on the being patient at the plate. But as far as swinging the bat, he just hadn't put it together.
Well, the number 9 hitter works the leadoff walk against Barry Zito. And now Michael Young, who singled and scored the Ranger run in the first. Meanwhile, Alfonso Soriano, maybe his final bid for 40 homers. Here's Reese Davis.
At Camden Yards, Alfonso Soriano getting a standing ovation as he steps to the plate in what is almost certainly his last chance to hit his 40th home run to go with 40 stolen bases. Let's go to the Yes Network, Michael Kay.
And there's a fastball strike. Soriano today is 0 for 4. You see the club right there. And those trying to get in. The 0-1. Fouled away. Quickly down in the count, 0-2.
98 on the last fastball. Got to dial it up a notch. That's what he's done against Jorge Julio. 0 for 5.
Let's see if there's drama in this 40-40 club. And the 0-2. Swung on and missed. He struck him out. Soriano will not get his 40th home run this year.
Michael, thank you very much. 2 men were chasing 40-40 on this day, although it certainly appeared that Vladimir Guerrero got it a night earlier on a missed call by an umpire. But as it is, Vladimir Guerrero will finish with 39 homers, 40 stolen bases. Soriano will finish with 39 home runs and 41 stolen bases. And just a few moments ago in Montreal, the Expos took Vlad out to a standing ovation from the appreciative crowd in Montreal. Vladimir Guerrero with a great season, but not 40-40. Now back to your game.
Vladimir's son, Little Cat.
All right, Reese, so A-Rod still 1 of 3 with Barry Bonds and Jose Canseco. He did it 4 years ago. His quest for the 40th home run took 10 games. He just was going after it a little bit earlier than Guerrero and Soriano. Michael Young is flied to right. Rivera still at first after the leadoff walk here in the 3rd. And for A-Rod, as that quest for 40 continued, it got so bad his mom was going to church every day praying, please end this vigil. And finally it did.
It's hard. You know, I mean, it would have been easier.
They've got Ruben Rivera picked off. Zito got him leaning. Hatteberg easily nails him at second.
Yeah, it was a nice pickoff move by Zito, too. But, you know, for Guerrero and for Soriano, it would have been easier. Look how he straightens that leg out and picks him up. But it would have been easier if they'd have hit the 40 home runs first and then tried to, you know, had to steal the base as the last thing. Because the more games you have, the more pressure you're putting on yourself trying to hit that 1 homer. And usually you end up doing things that you normally don't do. You go out of the strike zone, you're chasing pitches, just trying to lift balls.
A Zito curve, 0-2 to Herbert Perry. Well, Soriano hit number 39 a week ago Tuesday, so he had a good almost 2 weeks. And came close Wednesday night at Yankee Stadium. Just a little bit on top of a line drive that ended up a ground rule double into the left field corner. It's probably the closest he came to the best shot he had.
Well, I know they'd like to get their name in the history books, but I don't think the fact that neither one of them got there is going to change anything. Both of them had great years this year and deserve a whole lot of credit.
Soriano did for second baseman really what A-Rod has done for shortstop.
Right.
That is redefine the upper limits of offense. Liner right past Zito. Herbert Perry has a base hit with 2 outs. A bit of a nervous moment here for the A's. Look how close this one comes to Zito. What about head high too?
Nice swing by Perry. You take that ball right back where it came from. Really, Zito take his hand. If he'd have taken his hand and just come just a little bit more forward, it would have gone right in his glove.
So A-Rod batting for the second time, grounded to short first time up. A-Rod now 0 for 10 since his 57th home run on Wednesday. The average down to 300 last 27 games, gets 200. He had it up as high as 319. Miguel Tejada, 23 home runs behind, 10 RBIs behind, with a slightly higher average. Comparable defense, although pretty much all year A-Rod has been at the top defensively of American League shortstop.
Yeah. I think this might be the year he cracks through and possibly wins the Gold Glove.
Just missing with the curve. A-Rod, for all the money outside of Arlington, that's what people think of,
Right.
the big contract.
Right.
In Arlington now, what people are starting to appreciate is not just what he does between the lines, but the fact that anytime you show him in the dugout, he's talking, helping a younger player, becoming almost like another coach, motivating, instructing, pointing out the little finer points.
I think for him, that's because that's what happened to him in Seattle. Ken Griffey Jr., Edgar Martinez, Jay Buhner, Randy Johnson. You know, those guys were mentors to A-Rod when he came up as a 18-year-old kid.
Goes after the 3-1, a weak chopper back to the mound, and an easy play for Zito, who is not bothered by the leadoff walk to Rivera. So through 3-1 Oakland. Again, final day of the regular season. Dave Barnett and Tony Gwynn. How do you see the A's chances of finally breaking through? They almost got past the Yankees last year. It took Jeter's miracle to knock them out in the first round.
Yeah.
Could this be the year?
I think so. I mean, you know, this year more than any other year is a year where anybody in either league can put together a role and win ball games. I think the one advantage Oakland has is their starting pitchers. Mulder, Zito, Hudson. I think those three guys, with those three guys going, getting a chance to pitch back to back, I think they got a chance to, you know, maybe get past the first round this year.
16-2 in interleague play. So if they do win the American League pennant, how confident are they going to be, no matter who they might face in the series?
I think they're going to be confident anyway. I don't think they're really concerned who they're going to play and whether they're at home or on the road.
Ramon Hernandez, who popped to A-Rod at short his first time.
You know, we talk about it all the time. Pitching and defense are the two constants, especially, you know, when you get to the postseason.
Slice foul, 0-2, and the A's have that in bunches. Not just the starters, but they have the first reliever ever to save 40 and win 10 in Billy Koch. So a team that lost their center fielder, Johnny Damon, their MVP first baseman, Jason Giambi, and their closer, Jason Isringhausen. And there are a lot of franchises where any one of those three losses might have cratered the year. And right now they look as good as ever.
And the bonus out of all of that is they got draft picks for the free agents. And they use those draft picks to draft guys this summer, and this will be the last year that they'll be able to do this with the new agreement. But you know, Art Howe, Billy Beane, they've done a wonderful job putting this team together, and you know they got to feel pretty good about their chances going into the postseason.
Benoit's 2-2, also sliced foul. Yankees now in the bottom of the 9th in Baltimore. Just about to wrap up home field in the AL. And when that goes final, we'll see if Art Howe pulls any starters. Gets them rested for game 1 Tuesday. 2 outs, bottom of the 9th at Camden Yards, and 2 on. Hernandez, then the top of the order, Durham and Hatteberg in the Oakland 4th. A lot of high pitch counts, batter after batter. Benoit hitting ahead, working it back up full, and he gets Hernandez on strikes, his 3rd strikeout. If you are looking ahead, Hudson against Minnesota, 5-0, lifetime 176 earned run average. He has dominated the Twins, 0-2 with a 397 against the Yankees. The game 1 starter projected. Zito, on the other hand, has struggled against the Twins quite a bit. 1-2 with a 597, and in the Dome, a 482 earned run average. Much better ERA, but also 1-2 against the Yankees with a 338. Mulder is just the opposite. He has been battered by New York. 1-4 with an ERA near 10, 9.45, but against Minnesota 4-2 and a 2.16 ERA. Rick Peterson, the pitching coach, looking at numbers like that.
Yeah, all 8 teams looking at numbers like that, trying to figure out, you know, what's going to be the best matchups, who gives us our best chance of winning. And sometimes instead of, you know, looking at the numbers, they just go by feel. They just go by, you know, how a guy is throwing the ball. You know, is he relaxed? Is he poised? Does he lose his composure? You know, all kind of factors become involved in it. But, you know, with Art Howe and his staff, these 3 guys have been his big guns all year long.
Benoit still walked a batter per inning. Walking Durham to face Hatteberg. He singled in the 1st, scored the 1st Oakland run. Be a little more difficult if it wasn't like it is with Oakland, where any of those 3 is a good choice.
Yeah.
And if you're Joe Torre with the Yankees, you could make it a little complicated if you want to break it down, not just looking at pitcher lifetime versus team, but who's pitching the best right now.
Right. And that's, you know, really, you can say that with all 4 of these clubs. Obviously, with Anaheim, you know, Washburn's been their best pitcher, but, you know, you can go with an Napier and feel pretty good about, you know, the way he's pitched. But with the Yankees in Oakland, you know, how are you going to lose? You got Zito, you got Hudson, you got Mulder. Any one of those 3 guys, you know, they have thrown the ball really good, and they really believe in each other, and they really have confidence that he could go out there and do it. And we know how Joe Torre thinks. You know, he's got Mussina, he's got Pettit, he's got David Wells, but, you know, for his first game, usually he wants to go with Roger Clemens because he's been there before, and he's not going to worry about whether he panics or not because he knows he is.
Runner goes, swung on and missed. The throw by Pudge bounces into center field. And Durham will scoot on around to 3rd. Very Pudge Rodriguez-like throw. Maybe the last time, you never know, he tries to gun down a base stealer as a Ranger.
Well, normally when Pudge is behind the plate, guys, if they go, they're going to steal on the pitcher. And Benoit really didn't give him a look, and Pudge really had no chance to throw him out. And that ball goes into center field, and it's like we talked about in the beginning of the game. Durham gives Oakland a threat on the bases at the top of the lineup. And when you can score easy runs, and what I mean by easy runs is you know, having a guy get on base, a walk, a base hit, a stolen base, you get him over, get him in. When you can score those type of runs, especially early in the game, with that pitching staff, all of a sudden that's a luxury to have a guy at the top of your lineup who can get on base and make things happen.
3-2 pitch just back over the screen to Hatteberg. And Miguel Tejada on deck. So Rodriguez charged with the error here. He's had as many errors this year as the last couple of years combined. Here's the 3-2. Way high. And again, let's check in with Reese Davis.
All right, Dave, Mike Stanton got in a little trouble for the Yankees. Steve Carsey trying to bail him out, couple on, and wicked stuff on the corner. Gets Luis Lopez 1 out. Yankees 2 outs away from clinching home field in the American League.
He's doing their part, but it may not come down to the result here. Miguel Tejada has walked twice, last time scored. 2 homers last night. Goes after the first pitch from the wild Benoit, and it is going to fall fair down the right field line. Another run home as Durham scores, and headed to third is Hatteberg. 4-1 Oakland in the fourth. And the 131st run batted into the year for Tejada.
You really got to like Tejada. He's just going on about his business. I think he understands where he is in this MVP type race, but you know, his thing, he wants to be out there every day. He wants the opportunity to swing the bat. And when you're pitching to him with ducks on the pond, he seems to get it done.
Let's check in again with Reese.
All right, 2 outs now in the Yankee game in the 9th, guys. 1 more out the Yankees need. But right now, we're going to take you out to Wrigley. Pirates and the Cubs. Sammy Sosa looking for career home run number 500. Look at the crowd that's gathered trying to pick up that souvenir if they get an opportunity. Sammy's already gone yard once today. Thanks to WGN, and let's join Chip Caray.
Can he do it?
He's trying to lead the league in homers for the 2nd time in 3 years. Missed outside, ball 1. He's trying to be the first man with 50 homers or more 5 times in his career. 50 gets him to 500. He's got 49 in his back pocket already today. Reyes sets and a pitch.
Because they have not thrown Sammy a strike. But this right here is a good situation. 2-0. Take a look high from the Southwest Plain View camera. Ball's up and in, but now 2-0. Reyes may come with a fastball here. And you're going to see one terrific swing here. If Sammy gets a pitch he likes. Will Reyes challenge Sammy? Sure, he'll go right after him.
The 2-0. Over but low. Ball 3. And you know he'll get the green light now. Aesop Choi in the on-deck circle. Pirates have a left-hander up in their pen. And Cota out on instructions from Lloyd McClendon. Here with 1 on and 1 out. Speaking of McClendon, we kind of touched on it earlier. Will he be back as the manager of this Pirate team? That's something that's been discussed in the Pittsburgh papers. McClendon has improved his Pirate team by 10 victories from 1 year to the next, something that's very, very difficult to do.
And if he can improve 10 games next year.
And they're over 500.
Yes, exactly. But Sammy, you better swing at this one. Whether it's a ball or a strike.
3-0.
Oh, man.
Wicked cut. And he missed it by a fraction. 3-1 now.
This might be a very hard pitch to take for Sammy. And Sammy wanted that pitch back. That was a good pitch.
A stretch now in the 3-1. Swung a ball 4. Why not?
That's a smart move.
You might get lucky.
Exactly. The more opportunities you have, the Southwest Plain view.
Because this might be it. This might be his last at-bat of the season.
I would go on a limb and say this probably is his last at-bat of the season.
Well, will he get a strike? That's what it's going to come down to. 3 balls, 2 strikes. He's one swing away from immortality. The stretch. Here it comes. And he threw it past him. So Sosa strikes out in the 7th inning. And it's looking like his first home run of a new season will move him into elite company. But a huge ovation for Sosa as he heads back to the Cubs dugout with 49 home runs.
Well, it would take quite a big inning for the Cubs for Sammy to reach 500 this year. He'll have to wait till next year, as Chip said, to become the 18th member of the 500 home run club. But a terrific season for Sammy Sosa, 49 home runs while the Cubs struggle. Meanwhile, the Yankees and the Orioles finished up. The Yankees trying to clinch home field in the American League. In Baltimore, Steve Carsey came on to finish things up. He got Jerry Hairston on a little roller to third, and with that, the New York Yankees will have home field in the American League playoffs. 6-1 the final. Alfonso Soriano finished 0 for 5. He will not get his 40-40 season, going the last couple of weeks almost throughout the regular season without a home run. He's been sitting on 39 for a while. Yankees finish up 103 and 58. They won't have to play that makeup game regardless of what the A's do now. And we have just had a little moment to speak of from the Oakland, Texas game. Fill us in on what Jermaine Dye just did, Dave.
Well, Reese, if Sammy couldn't get number 500, how does this do for you? Jermaine Dye hits a grand slam, his 24th. It's not a milestone, but it's busted this thing wide open. 8-1 now, and that does it for Joaquin Benoit.
Watch how quick this ball got out of here. Down in the zone, and I mean, he just stroked it right out of the ballpark. Grand slam.
No doubter. 86 runs batted in now with 24 out for Dye. Dennis Reyes will be the new Ranger pitcher. Jermaine Dye enjoying the grand slam, which has given the A's a 7-run lead and chased Joaquin Benoit in favor of left-hander Dennis Reyes. And as has been the case so often with so many young Ranger pitchers, even the veterans, walks kill him. He walks 3 here in the 4th, 6 in the game, and 3 in the 3rd. Gives up 6 hits. And all 3 of the walks scoring, as well as Tejada with the RBI single ahead of the slam by Dye. 58th appearance for Reyes, who came over July 31st at the deadline from Colorado. Jerry Naron has used him as a starter, experimentally and in relief. 5 starts. 2-2 with an 8.10 ERA. So that has sent him back to the bullpen, where he's 2-1 with an ERA just a shade under 5. Benoit's ERA is going to take a little bit of a skyrocketing today.
Well, the good thing is he didn't have to think about it long, being his last day of the season. You had a long season. You just kind of turn the page, close the book on this chapter. Go back to work this winter, try to figure out, how am I going to throw strikes? These guys, of course, still worried about, okay, we're going to the postseason. We need to get ready. I'm sure Art Howe feels pretty good about the fact they were able to put 8 runs on the board. And now that he knows the Yankees have won, it wouldn't surprise me to see him take his starters out, let him get some rest. Because they open up on Tuesday, I believe. So.
Right. Everything is now settled in the American League. Well, the Yankees 6-1 win over Baltimore. Oakland hosting Minnesota Tuesday, while the Angels will open at New York. The Yankees will have the home field throughout in the American League. Reyes 3-2 pitch to Justice. He is going to slice back out of play. Chased a bit by Jason Hart. Art Howe, one-time Ranger coach in the Bobby Valentine era, mid-late 80s. Before he became such a successful manager. And it wasn't that long ago. The Art Howe watch was on a daily basis.
It seems like the Art Howe watch has been on every year. And especially this year when they got off to the slow start. Yeah, but all he does is win. He's done a nice job. He keeps his troops together and keeps them focused. Very underrated man.
Justice bounces out for the second out of the inning. The only Art Howe watch now is watch how many he wins every year.
Yeah.
And watch how far they can go in the postseason.
Well, that's the next hurdle for him, I think, is getting his team past this first round and into the championship round. It's like we discussed, it's not going to be easy. Don't think the Minnesota Twins are just going to roll over, because they're not. They're an aggressive bunch too. And like I said, I think on any given night, anybody can beat anybody in this year's playoffs.
1-0 pitch to Mark Ellis is foul. We're in the ballpark in Arlington, and we've got typical Arlington weather, even at the end of September, in the 90s. Very steamy as the A's have opened up an 8-1 lead here in the fourth. They have chased the Ranger starter Joaquin Benoit with 5 here. The big blow, Jermaine Dye's grand slam. The Yankees have wrapped up home field with a 103rd win, owning the tiebreaker over the A's. A deep drive chases Rivera back in front of the track, but he retires Ellis. 8 A's batted the fourth, 5 scored. Dye's grand slam breaks it wide open.
Keep hope alive of having home field against the Diamondbacks in the playoffs. This is Ronnie Belliard. He's going to fly out to end the 8th. Cardinals with just 1 hit on the day as Kerry Robinson makes the catch. They are scoreless in the 8th. We'll get you out there in the 9th inning as this game unfolds. And Scott Rowland just got a base hit to try to get something going for the Cardinals. Here are the standings for home field advantage. Diamondbacks with an edge coming into the day.
And the Diamondbacks wrapping things up today with Colorado. Here it's 8-1 Oakland. Gary Zito out for the bottom of the 4th inning to face Palmeiro, Rodriguez, and Mitch. Pudge Rodriguez. A-Rod 0 for 2 today, having ended the 3rd with a ground out. Back to Zito. Palmeiro drove in the Ranger run, an RBI single to right in the 1st. Frank Medicino in, and the first A starter pull today is Miguel Tejada.
I think there'll be a whole lot more before the day is out, too.
Let's check in again with Reese.
All right, Dave, I promised that we'd take you out to see if the Cardinals could score and see how it unfolds in the 9th inning. Instead, we're going to get you out there in the 8th. Scott Rowland just doubled into the left field corner. They're going to have a couple of guys on. Pujols is going to get an intentional pass from Jerry Royster's team. Let's take you out to Busch right now and see if the Cardinals can put a little pressure on the Diamondbacks by beating the Brewers.
I think there's a lot of us that would love to see Albert have this RBI opportunity, but if they're going to take it away from him, the guy that is going to be stepping to the plate is a monster.
Renteria 0 for 2 against Vizcaíno in his career.
He's hit the ball hard twice. Those were against Franklin the last 2 times up. And we'll take our chances with Edgar anytime with the game on the line.
So 1st and 2nd, 1 out. Renteria on the day is 0 for 2. Just 1 for 10 in this series. Busch Stadium right now is electric.
He's already set a career high in RBIs. As you mentioned, 2 away from tying the record with franchise record RBIs by a shortstop. And there you see a description of a money player is what he does from the 7th inning on. And this guy is clutch.
Just 1 out. Here in the 8th, 1st and 2nd. Renteria takes a ball. Well, these fans know what's on the line. Cardinals need a victory for a chance at home field advantage. See, with runners on, hitting .337, 7 home runs and 77 RBIs. Two 2-0. Remember, you still have Drew on the bench. Jim Edmonds is on the bench. Tino Martinez, Gary Robinson on deck. 2 balls and no strikes on the Cardinals shortstop. Oh, 2-1.
Challenged him. And Edgar came up a little tardy. 2-0 pitch. Just throws it right by him.
Base hit could give the Cardinals a lead. Rolling at second, Pujols at first. Three balls and a strike.
The taker swing away. Take a deep breath, relax. Pressure's on the pitcher.
Renteria fouled it back. That was his pitch there.
Good cut right there. Pretty much know you're going to get a fastball. It throws it upstairs, which is a tough pitch to get on top of. That's one that produces swing and miss or the pop up. I just wonder if Rushford may be a little too shallow in right field. So many of his big hits have been out to right and right center.
The 3-2 runners go down the right field line. Fair ball. 1 run in. Here comes Pujols. Renteria delivers. 2-0 St. Louis.
RBIs, 82 of them as a shortstop to tie the all-time franchise record for RBIs by a shortstop. He already holds a home run record by a shortstop, and now he's tied the RBI. Down and away, and look at the discipline and swing. A much different swing, slicing the ball down into the right field corner, and Tony La Russa sees his man come through one more time in the clutch.
It's a 2-run score. Rolling and Pujols all the way from first. And here's Kerry Robinson. 2-0 St. Louis. He is a money player. He won the 1997 World Series, and how many clutch RBIs has he come up with here this season?
Best average with runners in scoring position. It was 367 before that at bat. Add to it.
Well, you know Tony La Russa wants this win. Keep their hopes alive for home field advantage in round 1.
That ties Doc Levin 1921 record of RBIs as a shortstop. Boy, 97 wins. Winning the final game, preparing, getting this club ready for Tuesday. Will they be sleeping in their beds on the road or at home?
2 balls and a strike. Robinson left side. Hall knocks it down, and Renteria is going to stop at third. A base hit for Kerry. I see a pinch hitter here.
Young shortstop saved a run this time, and he wasn't going to make sure Renteria was going to steal another run on him. Playing up the middle, you know, he once again he kind of dives beyond the ball and it hits him in the body. But he knocks it down, keeps it in the infield, and this time you can see him looking and calling time. He's not going to let Renteria do what he did the other day against him. Learned a lesson.
So the Cardinals will use a pinch hitter here. They pull back Crudale. Got a right-hander warming up in the bullpen.
Attention, please. Batting for the pitcher, Mike Crudale. Number 15, Jim Edmonds.
Jerry Royster sees Edmonds as a pinch hitter. He's got some very good left-handers in his bullpen. It's going to be it for Vizcaino. A loss here today would be 106 for Milwaukee on the year to finish.
Is that a new road
All right,
loss?
the Cardinals in the midst of a rally. They're up 2-0 now on Milwaukee in the bottom of the 8th. While Jerry Royster makes his pitching change, we're going to take a break. Then we'll take you back out to Busch to see if the Cardinals can pad that lead and put some heat on the Diamondbacks in the race for home field.
It seems like it's a fairly new phenomenon in the baseball world. Bad signatures, bad penmanship. You go back in the old days and you think of the players that you remember and how they signed a ball. Ted Williams, Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, Sandy Koufax. I mean, I'm just thinking of ones that come to mind. Ernie Banks. Every one of them, you can read every letter in their name. Mickey Mantle and Ted Williams have beautiful penmanship. So why do these guys have to sign them so ugly nowadays? I don't get it.
Yeah, come on, guys. It's all penmanship. Dennis Reyes continues to pitch well in relief. Hank Blaylock coming up. The A's lead the Rangers 8-1. Oakland with that big 4th inning leading the Rangers 8-1. We invite you to enjoy a day of Halloween fun. The Legends of the Game Baseball Museum will host Batty at the Ballpark Saturday, October 26th. 817-273-5097. Kids can wear their costumes. There'll be some fun activities like face painting, pumpkin decorating. October 26th. Get you set for Halloween. That's right around closing out of the World Series, too. Will the Oakland A's be in it? Well, they sure are finishing strong after a 20-26 start. John Mabry, by the way, now in playing first. Got a new left fielder, too. That would be Adam Pyatt. And in center field, it's Mr. Burns. Eric Burns. Jason Hart bidding for his 3rd career big league hit. He will not get it. He is out by a step and very quickly. Couple men out here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Tom, I want to compliment you. It was, I believe, right around this time of the game yesterday when you came right out of the commercial, did a good 30 seconds, and
You call that good?
that was awesome. And Vince came running in, hands to the heavens. Still not sure where he was. But.
Well, evidently there was a line out the door for the men's room, and Vince had committed. So he had to wait. He had to wait it out.
I think we've all been there.
You know, the one thing, this is a beautiful ballpark, well planned, but they did not plan the men's room and the press box very well, or the ladies' room for that matter.
How do you know?
Well, it's not big enough.
Yeah, but how do you know?
Oh, about the ladies' room? Well, I'm just trying to include them in it.
Oh,
I can only guess that if ours is that bad, theirs is that bad.
Can see you walking in there. Something's missing in here. What?
I mean, there have been times where, I mean, if you really have to go, you knock on the door. If there's no one in there, might as well put it to use.
Veteran move. I'll remember that for next year. Rivera bouncing out, and Barry Zito 5 in the books. He can leave now if he wants to. He is eligible for that 23rd win 8-1 Oakland. Come back, more bathroom talk on Fox Sports Net. Texas Ranger Baseball on Fox Sports Net, brought to you by Southwest Airlines, bringing people together with low fares. And by your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Closing day, the polar opposite of opening day in baseball. The Rangers might be heading to a 90-loss season. Might be heading to 13 losses in their last 16 games unless things turn around quickly. 8-1 Oakland this afternoon. Frank Menachino instead of Miguel Tejada. Tejada done for the day and thus for the regular season too. Tejada will end with a .308 batting average. 34 home runs, 131 runs batted in. It'll be he and A-Rod and probably a couple New York Yankees, Giambi and Soriano, to duke it out for MVP. Giambi, by the way, had a homer today. That gives him 41, but Soriano did not go deep, so he will end his season, Tom, stuck at 39.
Well, he gave it a good shot. I know that was on his mind probably every at bat for the last week or 10 days. Since the time he hit number 39 anyway.
Did you see what happened to poor Vlad Guerrero yesterday?
No.
He's also one home run away from being 40-40. He hit a drive to right field that literally bounced on the tippy top of the wall, bounced straight up, and then fell back onto the field. That's as close as you can come.
Boy.
And Montreal has gone final with Cincinnati today. Guerrero did not hit a home run, so he too will end up as a 39-40 guy, just like Soriano. Frank Menachino trying to become a 1-1 guy. Flies to right center. Folks, tonight on Beyond the Glory, personal troubles and on-field struggles almost cut short his career until one historic season made one Sammy Sosa an international icon. The Sammy you didn't know on Beyond the Glory tonight at 8, only on Fox Sports Net. There is breaking Sammy Sosa news too. As Sammy was going for number 500 of his career. Might still be going for it, actually, because that game is still going on. He does have a home run this afternoon. Number 49 of the season. Number 499 of his career.
Hit 2 on the final day to get 550. Number 50 and number 500. That's amazing.
Well, here's the thing, though. The Cubs are up 7-2 in the bottom of the 8th. I don't think Sammy is scheduled to hit in the inning. So do the Cubs go ahead and give up 6 in the 9th?
He's probably not going to get a shot at it, but boy, what a day that would have been if he could have done it.
I think a lot of the fans here are hoping that Pudge Rodriguez can do something dramatic. One for the road today, perhaps. Not a done deal that he's gone, but there are some signs kind of pointing his way towards somewhere else. Another walk. Boy, Chavez has been on base 4 times today in 6 innings. That's the first walk allowed by Reyes, but there were 6 by Benoit before that. That Yankees-Baltimore game, 6-1 was the final score, and that means that the Orioles, Tom, since rising up to a 500 record at 63-63, they finished the season winning 4 of their final 36. They played 111 ball.
Wow. It's a good thing they didn't start the year like that.
Wow. I mean, you feel for Mike Hargrove, don't you?
We were there right after they went, I believe, weren't we, when they went 63-63? Then didn't we sweep them right after that?
Yeah, swept him here.
So I guess we started that slide right after they had reached 500.
Sorry, Grover.
Who knew it would amount to this kind of a slide, though?
Well, you finished 4-32. That's not hitting the ground running for 0-3. Pudge with a block. Jermaine Dye at the plate. He's the man that blew this game open in the 4th inning. He had a grand slam. Let's see, the Orioles will end up with 95 losses. Kansas City lost today, so that's 100 for them. Tigers 106. Tampa Bay 106. And it looks like Milwaukee on the way to 106 as Dye is on his way back to the dugout, 2 down. I can't recall a year, Tom, where there's been 3 teams losing 106 games.
No, I can't either off the top of my head. I'm sure it's happened before, because every time you say, boy, that's probably never happened before, it has happened. And sometimes it happened about a month ago. But that is pretty remarkable.
That's another thing that's fun to go back and count up, is how many times you've seen something you've never seen before during the course of a baseball season. Historic things like the triple play that Kenny Rogers turned. Silly things like a 6-3, 6-3 double play that we saw the other night. How about the 7-inning save by Joaquin Benoit?
That has never happened before.
Of course, we've never seen a Ranger hit 57 home runs. That's happened, thanks to the shortstop. Kevin Mensch in right field provided us with an all-timer, handing a live baseball to a fan. Baseball's like a box of chocolates. You do seem to get something new, something different every time you come out, and that, I know for you too, Tom, that for me anyway, has always underscored the love of this game, that you just don't know what you're going to see.
And I've heard so many people say that. Old timers, new timers, you name it. Baseball is a sport where you can never say, I've seen it all. Because as soon as you say that, something happens that you've never seen before.
Kind of like that.
A lot of those firsts are provided by the fans.
Netman stopped up to say hello and thank you today.
Did he? I didn't see him.
Say thanks to him. Well, you were off eating your hummus or something.
I'll be darned.
He of the catch and release program. Catches those foul balls, hands them off to the kids. That is something you see every day. Adam Pyatt up over top, and Dennis Reyes able to get out of the top of the 6th. We will go to the bottom of the 6th inning today with the Rangers needing some offense here, and there's a man who might provide it. Any North Texas Sonic Restaurant. Young, Perry, and A-Rod coming up. Rafael Palmeiro to follow. We would like to welcome those of you in the Athletics that have been switched over to this game right now. You are watching an 8-1 Oakland lead. Sorry, we don't have better news for you. Mike Young leading it off. He is 1 for 2 today. Barry Zito continues on the mound. He's had a pitch count of, well, upper 70s now. Menachino makes a play. There's all kinds of defensive changes afoot. Jason Grabowski is in left. That pinballs Adam Pyatt over to right. And then the infield is all pretty much brand new too. We just saw Menachino at third. You've got Ellis at short. And a former Ranger, Randy Velarde, playing second base. But it is still Barry Zito on the mound, and that's unfortunate for the Rangers. As we've discussed, Barry Zito could be your Cy Young Award winner this year. And Tom, that's despite a 1-2 start in the month of April. He's been 21-3 since then.
Yeah, his ERA was close to 5 at that point in time.
13-1 in his last 17 starts, 3 no decisions. Up and over 180 strikeouts for the year, too. Perry sending one down the left field line. That is going to be foul. Rangers have not hit a home run yet today. That would be kind of an odd way to end a season that's been all about the home run, is to go all day without one today. Rangers leading the major leagues, 229 home runs hit. They led last year as well. Could it be the last in a Ranger uniform for Pudge Rodriguez? Wouldn't you miss that smile, huh?
That was great of Pudge to come up here last night early in the ball game, spend an inning with us talking baseball.
It was nice that it was one of the very, very long innings, too.
It was a long inning. I'm glad it lasted that long.
Outside, and Alex Rodriguez is coming up with a man on. Warm ovation for A-Rod as he steps in. Tonight, the best damn sports show period. In fact, every weeknight, 8 and 11, only on Fox Sports Net. Kirk Gibson, one-time world, actually two-time World Series hero with 2 different teams. Marcellus Wiley, Byron Chamberlain join him tonight. Kirk and Tom Arnold are good friends, by the way, so that has the makings of some madness on the set tonight. Now with A-Rod, the key number is 299. That's the batting average right now. A base hitter here, he's a 300 hitter. Remember, Alex was hitting around 320 about a month ago. Very high pop fly, which will put the batting average at 298. John Mabry will make the catch as he runs up the mound. We talked about it, Tag, a very tough assignment going up against the probable Cy Young Award winner in Barry Zito. You're sore, you're tired. You've got no real reason to play other than the fact that, hey, look, you're trying to set an example. You're Alex Rodriguez. You're supposed to be out there, and 300 average, be darned, he is out there.
Yeah, you've got 30,000 people that paid to watch this game, and they want to see the Rangers' best players in this game. That's another good reason.
Last chance for a Sonic Slam winner. Although, wouldn't it be poetic justice if Rafi walked and it was Pudge that hit one out? Ground ball swept along. That's a shortstop, believe it or not, over there near second base. And Pudge will have to wait. He will lead off in the 7th. I'm sure that'll be a warm ovation he'll gather in. Right now, we're at the end of 6. 8-1 Oakland. A's by 7 as we get to inning number 7 here on a very nice afternoon for baseball here in Arlington. A's are spoiling that by annoyingly leading by 7 runs. Folks, you can get a free baseball autographed by Rafael Palmeiro when you spend $150 or more on MLB Authentic Collection merchandise in the Majestic Grand Slam gift shop at the ballpark. The offer is good while supplies last. That's one stop I'm making. I don't know if I'm going to drop $150 on my way out today, but I need a new wastebasket for my den. I'm going to get a Ranger wastebasket.
All right.
They should give me a, I don't know, 5% discount. Tell them who I am.
Employee discount. I'm
All
not
right.
sure what it is nowadays, but it should be a good one.
Okay. I'm going to drop your name.
All right.
6% discount.
They'll charge a 5% surcharge. Jay Powell coming on to pitch for the Rangers. Jay pitched last night, gave up a couple of unearned runs. A 1.78 ERA in his last 34 appearances. 7 earned runs, 35 in a third innings. Jay has been throwing very well.
And a pinch hitter for Oakland. This is Jose Flores. He has played very sparingly since coming up as just kind of an extra man to have. He is doing their best to rest their regulars, getting healthy. Originally a 34th round pick of the Phillies back in 1994, and he's bounced around the minors. About 900 career games in the minors, and he's finally made it to the major leagues. This would be a nice moment for him if he can come up with a base hit. But he will not. It is locked up in left field by Hart. We go to Jim Knox.
All right, thank you, Josh. Hey, a little history lesson for you guys. The 40-8 group on hand at tonight's ballpark, about 40+. Dave Egan, the president, what is this all about?
The 40-8 dates all the way back to World War I. First off, you have to be a member of the American Legion to be eligible. Everybody here is with the American Legion Post 379 Bedford. The name itself, 40-8, comes from a French boxcar during World War I. The capacity of the boxcar was either 80 men or 8 horses. That's how they got to the front lines. The humor of the American GI is what this is what's all come from. This is where the name comes from. Today, what we're about is nurses and nurses training. Again, this comes back from World War I, the shortage of nurses. What we're all out here today in the ballpark is for the nurses training, and we work with UTA Arlington and their nurses training program.
Very good. So you're out here helping out a good cause and also watching the Rangers. Josh?
All right, Jim, thanks. Alex Rodriguez zips a throw and barely gets his man. Nice play. Greg Myers will come up, another pinch hitter for the Oakland A's. Again, they know their fate right now, Tom. They know they've got Minnesota in the first round. They know the Yankees have won today over Baltimore, so they will not be getting a home field advantage in the ALCS if it comes to a Yankees-A's ALCS again.
Well, this turned out to be like a spring training game. Virtually every guy in the lineup will be replaced. In fact, Olmedo signs is on deck. It will be everybody in the lineup.
If you see Joaquin Benoit doing his running on the warning track,
you'll know it's spring training.
Well, the Rangers, that's one of the changes for next year. Spring training in Arizona for the first time. Beautiful new complex west of Phoenix.
I remember I met Bo Schembechler, and one of the things he was just annoyed beyond in no way about was running in the outfield during spring training. He wanted to know, why do people run during the game in the outfield? You don't do it in the regular season. When did that start? Why did it happen? And the only answer is, well, it's just the way they've always done it.
Yeah, I mean, exhibition football games, you don't see guys doing wind sprints down at the other 10-yard line when the action is down at the other end of the field.
They're shooting foul shots at one end of the court while they're down at the other end. You know, it is funny in spring training because there's plenty of fields where the pitchers could go run. For some reason, it's tradition to run behind the outfielders during the game in spring training. But it drove him crazy.
Wish I had some cool Northwestern stories, but I don't. I'll stick with those Michigan guys.
Well, Bo was the president of the Tigers, so he used to attend the meetings.
Bo was a guy, by the way, who got, well, at least credit for the firing of the great Ernie Harwell in Detroit. It was Ernie's last broadcast today, by the way. He got to announce a Tiger 1-0 loss in Toronto. We say goodbye to a great man who will be missed in baseball. Greg Myers down on strikes, and Pudge Rodriguez coming up. The possibility that this is his last Ranger AB. We hope not. Check your Gatorade game summary at the 7th inning stretch here at the ballpark in Arlington. Jermaine Dye's grand slam was a big blow today. Barry Zito online for win number 23. But the big story, as Joe Piscopo used to say on old Saturday Night Sports, is Pudge Rodriguez. A lot of Ranger fans, obviously, the broadcasters, heck, would love it if Pudge would stick around, but it just might not be. Go back to 1991 when we first had the pleasure of watching Ivan Rodriguez play ball. Hard to believe this was 11 years ago.
This play right here epitomizes Pudge. Watch the look on Joe Carter's face. He thinks this is a wild pitch. He's just going to end up on second base automatically. All of a sudden, he hears the ball in Julio's glove. He's tagged out, and he turns back as if to say, What happened?
You know what's cool about this? The fans are already standing. It's the 7th inning stretch. Normally by now they would have sat down, but these fans know.
How many base runners have there been over the years with that same look on their face after being picked off by Pudge?
Jimmy Christopher announced just the first name, not the last, because these fans know who number 7 is. This could be it. This could be the last at bat for Pudge. Possibility of one more later in the game, the hope of many more in years to come. There is a new Oakland pitcher that will be on the mound to face him. Jeff Tam. And Pudge smokes it to right. This ball, gone! How about that?
That had a little Cal Ripken to it.
That had some Ted Williams in it. I don't know how he's not crying.
Well, that's one of those baseball moments that you're just glad that you were in the ballpark to see it.
First pitch of what could be his last Ranger at bat. So many Ranger fans hope that's not true.
And it's certainly not a foregone conclusion that that's true. It is a possibility, and time will tell whether or not it becomes reality. Hopefully that's not the case.
Well, that's the thing. When Ted Williams hit his last home run, there was the knowledge that he was shutting it down. That was going to be it, that he was not going to play on the Red Sox final road trip, that was going to be it, not just at Fenway, but forever as a Red Sox and as a Major League Baseball player. There was finality to it. There's not necessarily finality to this, but there sure was some emotion.
Well, he hit a pretty good pitch too on the outside corner, a sinker away. He goes the other way and drives it out of the ballpark. What incredible timing.
.215 career home runs, all of them as a Texas Ranger. Now Kevin Mensch lofting one but foul. Boy, there's an indelible moment right there. That is a two-way love affair, believe it. The fans to Pudge, the catcher right back to the fans. We'll forever have a story to tell about Jeff Tam now, too. The pitcher who served it up.
Right now, Jerry Nairn's probably asking Pudge if he wants to stay in the game. Do you want to make sure that's your last at bat? Because the reality is he'll come up in the 9th inning.
He's got the chest protector on, which tells you he obviously wants to go back out there and catch again. Check your Ford leaderboard, just the resume of Pudge Rodriguez, 10-time All-Star, 10-time Gold Glover. He would certainly be missed, no question about it. But yeah, I mean, do you want to come up again? Or do you want that as your magnum opus? One ball, one strike, the count to Hank Blaylock. Remember, Pudge was not able to play yesterday. He was serving that one-game suspension. Big crowd of 44,000. And he was unable to get out there and show that big crowd what he can do. I think they already know, though. Crowd today, by the way, 34,529 after the 44,000 yesterday. So the season's total, and it's 80 dates, not 81, because of that rainout, 2,352,397, which will be off about 400,000 from last year. And again, an eye towards the future, Tom. The Rangers looking to rebuild without completely tearing everything down next year, just with an eye towards being extremely competitive the following year. And maybe you catch a ride on a rainbow. Who knows? Maybe you have that perfect year come together. You were supposed to be rebuilding and things go even better for you. But realistically, a team that has to hopscotch Anaheim, Seattle, and Oakland, maybe you're hoping you can catch one or two of them and make strides to be there in 2004.
Well, what can happen is you can make some quantum leaps forward, but because of the gap between the Rangers and three teams, the three teams ahead of you have to take a little bit of a step backwards for that to happen. And when you look at the three teams ahead of the Rangers, you look at their teams next year. We've already talked last night about the A's and the fact that they've got all their key young players signed through their free agent years for at least a couple more years.
Blaylock to right.
So they're not going anywhere. You look at Seattle, they still have a pretty strong nucleus, and the Angels have their position players all signed, the ones that they want back anyway, and their rotation and Percival in the bullpen. So it's not going to be easy to catch these teams, because when you look at these teams, it doesn't look like they're going to take any significant steps back toward the pack either. That makes the work doubly tough. The other side of that, Josh, is as you look down the road, the Rangers probably have more good young players either trying to break into the big leagues now or about to break into the big leagues over the next couple of years than the other teams in our division. Many of their young players are already established in the big leagues. A lot of the Rangers' top young players are players that are either trying to break in now or about to in the future. So that speaks well for the Rangers. Kevin Mench has begun to break in this year. Hank Blaylock, Mark Teixeira's coming along down the road, and a number of other players too. So it's not like the cupboard is bare. It's just a matter of the patience it takes to watch young players get to the big leagues and develop. There are some bright prospects for that.
Rangers were ranked 3rd out of 30 teams in terms of how their minor league system is stacking up right now. That by Baseball Weekly. So yeah, there are some good signs for the future. We're seeing some early returns. I mean, obviously Kevin Mench was not expected to be here for what ended up being 2/3 of the year. 15 home runs for him. Blaylock has shown some flashes, and we're getting a look at guys like Hartz and Hafner. There's a Diesel sitting with Hank Blaylock. Travis Hafner could be a part of things next year. Down the line, that is a fair ball. And it is wedged. That ball ain't coming out. That is going to be an automatic double for Jason Hart. He's got, what, 4 big league hits? 3 of them have been doubles.
He manages to barely keep that fair, but that was a good call by the third base umpire.
He
Gary
clocked
Darling. It was just barely fair, and then it disappears. Had that happen last night down the right field line. Same thing.
Well, the A's rallied from way back yesterday. Let's see what the Rangers can do here. 2 out in the 7th. Rivera shoots it into left. Jason Hart coming around. It's going to be 8-3. There's another guy you wonder about for next year. Where will Ruben Rivera fit in?
Well, the Rangers are certainly intrigued by his athletic ability. That's why he's gotten the opportunity to play so frequently in center field. He's played very well defensively, and the hope has been that he will develop enough offensively that they can go with him as the center fielder next year. I guess the returns are somewhat incomplete. He has shown some signs, although his average is just a little bit over 200. I don't know that they can make that determination one way or the other yet. I think you go into the offseason as far as center field goes, probably still keeping your eyes and ears open that you can acquire somebody else.
Mike Young 1 for 3 today, down on the count 0-1. I see the Cardinals have beaten the Brewers today, Tom, 4-0. They got 4 in the bottom of the 8th. So now the pressure's on Arizona. They've got to beat Colorado to maintain a home field advantage in that series they're about to play. Arizona scored 3 in the bottom of the 1st. They're leading Colorado 3-0. That game has moved into the 3rd inning, so it's all up to the Diamondbacks. If they hang on to that lead, they stay home for game 1. If not, they pack up and go to St. Louis. Mike Young is down on strikes, but it was a very special 7th inning. Pudge Rodriguez with the home run in what could be his last Ranger at bat. Texas Ranger Baseball on Fox Sports Net, brought to you by GMC. From professional grade people come professional grade trucks. Now the Rangers are trailing 8-3 after 7. The last game of the 2002 season. Josh Lewin, Tom Grieve, Jim Knox. Pleasure to be with you, not just today but all year here on Fox Sports Net. C.J. Nitkowski out there on the mound now, becoming the 3rd Ranger pitcher of the day. Ranger pitchers have walked 7 to this point. And the big hit was the Jermaine Dye grand slam. That was given up by Joaquin Benoit.
And walks have been a little bit of a problem for CJ as well. He's pitched 12 2/3 innings. He struck out 13, but he's also walked 13. Opponents are only hitting 200 against him. But the one negative part of his line would be the walks.
Olmedo signs pinch hitting. Well, the A's have completely turned over their lineup. We'll probably end up with 16 different hitters in this game. Signs off the bench, bumps one into right center. John Mabry coming up next. Well, again, some of the things that we're watching for today. Alex Rodriguez, one more chance to get that batting average up to 300. He came into the day right at 300 and could have afforded an 0 for 1. Then he could have sat down if he wanted to. But nope, kept running out there against the probable Cy Young Award winner, Barry Zito. As it turns out, A-Rod 0 for 3 and thus hitting .298. Sure doesn't look like the 60 home runs will happen for Alex, but maybe 58. He would become only the 3rd American League right-hander to pull that off. You notice Pudge Rodriguez is indeed still in the game. All the speculation about whether or not he'll return for 03 and beyond. But a magic moment in Arlington just last half inning. Pudge in what could be his last Ranger at bat hit one out. Mabry is told that's strike 3.
That's a tough pitch to hit, whether it's strike 3 or maybe a little bit outside. Tough call for us with the angle that we've got. Perfect pitch by CJ. Not much Mabry could do with it. Or anybody else for that matter from the left side, unless you're right on top of the plate.
You know, one other odd thing about this year, Tom, unless Alex Rodriguez reaches and then steals a base in the 8th inning, the Rangers will not have anyone steal in double digits this year. Alex leads the team with 9, actually tied with Frank Catalanato, but Frank has been injured and obviously is not playing again the rest of the year, which means over the next 20 minutes. Rusty Greer, Frank Catalanato, Juan Gonzalez. I mean, these are guys that you forget sometimes, or even still on the team, just because we don't get to talk about them. They're not here. Jeff Zimmerman. All right, Rusty, you got us. Jeff Zimmerman was here today, too, getting some work in and obviously saying his goodbyes to the guys. A lot of the Rangers do call this area home, though, year-round. It's not like a lot of other teams where you're literally saying goodbye until late February. Coming here from Detroit, Tom, there was only one Detroit Tiger that lived in Detroit.
Is that right?
That was Bobby Higginson. That was the only one in the 4.5 years I was there.
Wow.
Actually, that's not true. Brandon Inge just moved to Ann Arbor, so now there's 2. But with the Rangers, you got a lot of guys, if they don't have their full-time home here, they've got a home here. Hot shot by Menachino.
And the other thing about the Rangers is there's a number of former players who live here. Ranger alumni are all over the place. Great place to live.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it just underscores, I mean, there's more people than just me that are flocking to get down here. You realize what a great quality of living it is. Folks, all season long, Fox Sports Net, your place to turn for all the latest news, highlights, and info on the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. Weeknights Totally NASCAR, all access with 30 minutes of NASCAR news and highlights. Totally NASCAR, weeknights at 6 only on Fox Sports Net. Former Ranger Randy Velarde takes, and it's 0-1. I don't know about you, Tag, but this time of the game, this game of the season, number 162, this is where you kind of catch yourself just kind of looking around and just trying to take some mental snapshots of what everything looks like, because you know you're not going to see it again until April 4th. See,
you look back to opening day and it seems like such a long time ago, but in reality it's gone by quickly. And the same will be true for next season. We'll be walking up to the booth next year on opening day saying, man, it seems like we just left here last year. But I think that happens as you get older. That all runs together a little bit more quickly than when you're young. You're still young. You don't know what that feels like yet.
Oh, yeah.
But you will.
On the ground to third. The big hop comes up in the chest of Blaylock. There's one, there's two. Rangers get the double play. And we will see Alex Rodriguez coming up, trying for that 300 batting average in a moment. Well, you talk about bookending a season. The A's beat the Rangers 8-3 on opening night. It is 8-3 on what could be, and what is going to be, the closing day of 2002. It won't be for the A's. They're off to the playoffs. We invite you to see the new Baseball's 25 Greatest Moments exhibit at the Legends of the Game Baseball Museum. It opens October 29th. And the exhibit will feature Mark McGwire's 62nd home run, Willie Mays' unbelievable catch, the other Pudge, Carlton Fisk, waving it fair, and many more great moments from our national pastime. Check it out starting October 29th, right after the World Series ends. A-Rod will bat second in the inning. And as we've discussed, Tom, the 60 home run run was fun to track. It will come up short, but you're talking 57 long balls this year, 140 runs batted in. And the only thing left to figure is whether or not you've got a 300 batting average to go with. That will be decided with this next matchup. It'll be Micah Bowie, a lefty, against A-Rod. That is Bowie on the mound now in place of Jeff Tam.
Bowie pitched in last night's game, pitched out of a bases loaded no-out jam. He was recalled from Sacramento on July 29th. So his numbers on the season, pretty good numbers. Not a lot of innings, but he hasn't given up a run in 11 of his 12 outings with the A's. That covers 11 innings.
Finished off, and Herbert Perry will end the day 1 for 3 with a walk. And now one last chance for the fans to celebrate the other Rodriguez. That would be Alex. And Alex will win the RBI title in the American League. He had a little bit of competition at the end, but he was able to stave off the competition. Maglio Ordonez finishing a little short. Tejada will finish 9 away at least. Twins beat the White Sox today. And boy, for the second consecutive afternoon, Bobby Kelty with a 2-run 8th inning home run to win it.
Wow.
That's incredible.
It's been a great year for the Twins. There's a lot of people around the country that root for the Twins in postseason play.
Well, you know,
see how far they've come.
Well, that's the thing, Tag. You're going to have the 28th best payroll with those Minnesota Twins in the first round against the 22nd highest payroll with the A's. So if you're a triumph of the underdog guy, you can't lose in that series. The A's and the Twins are both in the lower third in terms of the people spending money.
Yeah, they lead the list when you think of money spent for games won. Money spent per game won. They're right at the top.
Oh, that's too bad. That's ball 4 outside. And with that, Alex will not get the chance to swing and get the batting average from 299 to 300. But you know what? I think Alex is kind of, I don't know. I mean, I don't mean to be corny about it, but he's taught everybody a lesson today. He had the 300 average. All he needed to do was not play. But he's a leader. He knows that's part of his role on this team, to go out there, lead by example. Sure, he wants to hit 300. Everybody wants to hit 300, but he risked it by playing today against the likely Cy Young winner in Barry Zito. He ends up with an 0 plus a walk. He will be at 299. Unless the Rangers start hitting, getting Alex another chance in the 9th.
You know, I always wanted to hit 300 when I was playing in the big leagues, but it was about maybe June 1st or June 2nd when I knew it probably wasn't going to happen. I never quite got to the last day of the season.
One more time for Pudge, and I tell you what, I give Pudge a lot of credit for this too. He could have gone out in a blaze of glory. He had a home run last time up. He must have loved the feeling so much he wants to try for another one.
That's pretty remarkable. The fans poured their love out the last time up with all they had, and they get to do it one more time. I don't think anything can make a player feel better than the adulation that comes from the fans and being recognized for what you've meant to a franchise. He got the standing ovation and tipped his cap his first time up in the ball game, and every time since then.
Right center field. This time off the top of the wall. Wow! A-Rod coming around. He's headed for the plate. He's going to score. Well, you know what, though? I will say this, Tom. A double for Pudge. The irony of him hitting it into the bullpen would have been something, but yeah, you can't call your shot now, Pudge.
If that ball went out of the ballpark, home runs in back-to-back innings would have been more than incredible.
That would have been an all-timer.
As it is, the home run and the doubles is pretty incredible.
First pitch swinging both times. But seriously, you know what? When I think about Pudge, I think about him ramming doubles, not necessarily the home runs offensively. And here's a nice gesture, too. Jerry Naren's going to pinch run for Pudge so that he can leave the field to an ovation. And here it comes.
This just tops the last at bat.
Nothing against Todd Green, but they want Pudge to come out of the dugout and wave one more time.
Well, I'm sure Pudge sat up last night and in his mind envisioned what today might be like. Dreamed of what would be an ideal day. And I don't think you could have dreamed a more ideal day than this. To hit the home run in what the fans thought might be the last at bat, then to hit the double and get to come off the field for a pinch runner as the fans give you a standing ovation. I don't know that you could dream a better finish than that.
There are two ways, ironically, to look at this, I think, Tom. One is Green being the man who replaces Pudge out there on the bases. That's one way. The other way is, just when you thought Pudge had given you everything he had, hitting the home run in the 7th, he comes back for more.
Pretty amazing. It's incredible. I'm just glad I was here to see it.
I have no idea if that's a metaphor for anything or not. I mean, the fact that Pudge came back for one last lap, so to speak, like coming up and hitting again in the 8th inning, does not mean he's going to assuredly come back as a Ranger next year and take a lot less money to do so. But it kind of plants a seed, gives you some hope if you're a Ranger fan, if you want him back.
Yeah, and I don't know that he has to come back and take less money. He may come back and take the same money that the market is offering. I don't think the Rangers have made any conclusions yet as to what they'll be able to offer. I think the fact is no one knows what the market will bear. And possibly what the market will bear is something that the Rangers can bear, and it'll work out well for everybody.
Mensch takes up too high. Well, certainly some tender moments shared between the Rangers and the crowd of 34,000 this afternoon. Rangers will look to come back here. They have whittled the lead down to 8-4 in the 8th, and again, maybe they can keep on hitting, keep on going to get Alex one last chance to come up.
You know, people keep talking about the disappointing year this year attendance-wise, and you look at these last two crowds, 44,000 and 34,000. That's more fans than the Angels drew when the A's went in when they were battling for first place in Anaheim.
That's a great point. Foul back, got a shot. Nope, up over top.
It was closer, though.
Well, Pudge today. Remember how the day started. A ground out, a strikeout. And he committed a throwing error. Then in the back third of the game, a memorable home run and double. The double almost went out too. With the 2 hits today, and 4 at-bats overall today for Pudge Rodriguez. Now Pudge, 5,616 career Ranger at-bats. Those last 2 were among the more memorable of those 5,600 plus.
You know, for the last couple of weeks, almost every area of the media has encouraged the fans to come out for the last game to make sure they get a chance to see Pudge. Not because it is his last game, because it might be his last game. And you want that chance to see this game. And boy, a lot of people that did come out, 34,000 of them, got to see a game they'll never forget.
Pretty special day all the way around. Cowboys beat the Rams too. Mensch trying to check, but he is down on strikes. So the Rangers back to within 8-4. And Pudge Rodriguez now out of the game. Todd Green will be catching when we come back. The finale of the 2002 season, Pudge Rodriguez has helped make it a grand finale with a home run and a double to get it back to 8-4. Maybe our last chance to throw it out to Jim Knox this year. Hello, Jimbo.
Okay, Josh, I'll tell you what, you guys said your thank yous during the broadcast. I got one big thank you, and that's to the Ranger fans. What an afternoon they have provided, and also plenty of nights for the past season. Just a few highlights to remember. Of course, the Ranger 5, one of my favorite groups. We haven't seen them since. Mitch Mania, of course, took stride throughout the season. And I took part in a little paint-facing expedition there. Dion and Michael in the stands. We also spotted Pink, Maryland, and, of course, one of my favorite, Josh and Tom, in the stands broadcasting the game in center field. But, again, thank you to all the Ranger fans on a great season. And also thank you, Josh and Tom, for a season well done as well.
Very nice, Jim. Great job yourself.
Yeah, right back at you, Jim.
I love
Thank
the
you.
blue paint.
That was a misty watercolor memory right there.
And you got to love the mayor out there in right center field, too, boy. Mayor must need about 6 months to rest that vocal cord, his vocal cords up for next season.
The night we saw the mayor in his PJs, that was pretty special too. Grabowski to left field. 1 down, 9th inning. Francisco Cordero is now on the mound. Again, Todd Green comes in for Pudge doing the catching. Cordero, one of the bright spots to be sure in an otherwise forgettable 2002.
I'll say, when you look what he's done recently, in fact, more than recently, 31 outings, 2 earned runs in 37 innings. He's done it with, most of the time, dominating stuff. Fastball, slider, and good control with him.
Checker Lowe's improvement note of the game. Adam Pyatt getting more playing time and starting to come around for the Oakland A's. But Hank Blaylock whirls and gets his man. Improve that, Adam Pyatt.
Although Hank Blaylock didn't hit early like he's capable of, like the Rangers hoped, he has played defense probably beyond what you would hope. He's been terrific at third base. He was solid early in the season. And he finishes off this season with a terrific play on a hard hit ball by Pyatt.
Now it'll be Cordero against Jose Flores, looking for his first major league hit. And he will not get it. The Rangers are coming up in the bottom of what could be the last half inning of the year. Blaylock, Hart, Rivera do. It is Oakland leading 8-4. Texas Ranger Baseball on Fox Sports Net has been brought to you by Southwest Airlines, bringing people together with low fares. And by your Texas Dodge dealers. Get somewhere. Grab life by the horns. Billy Koch will come on for what seems like the 143rd time this year. It's really the 84th time this year, but well, you talk about getting mileage out of your closer. Billy Koch with 44 saves is on trying to protect an 8-4 lead.
That's an amazing physical specimen to pitch the way he's pitched this year as often as he's pitched. This is a workhorse, there's no doubt about it. His 84 appearances, that's an ongoing franchise record for the A's. No save opportunity for him. His ERA's been under 2 in his last 54 games. He got off to a little bit of a slow start after 25 games. His ERA was 5.33.
You can tug that ERA into the 2s with a scoreless inning here.
Seems like the more he pitches, the better he gets.
And again, the last game of the regular season, it is in many ways about milestones and about round numbers. Koch with a chance to be at 2.9 something instead of 3.01. We've talked about that with Alex Rodriguez, who is now hitting 299 instead of 300. The Rangers need to get a little rally going to get Alex up there one more time.
Koch is also the only player in Major League history to start his career with 4 straight 30 or more save seasons.
Tell you what, you've got Koch and Guardado, the 2 leading save men in the American League, going against each other in that first round of the playoffs. That'll start on Tuesday. Kenny Rogers watching on. He's kind of been lost today in the Pudge Love Fest. Blaylock to left. That'll be caught up to. Kenny Rogers doesn't know if he'll be back or not. We've talked a lot about Pudge not knowing if he'll be back or not, but your Pennzoil protection play today. How about protecting your legacy? Pennzoil, we're driving protection. Pudge, what ended up being his second to last at bat of the day, a home run. And he just missed an amazing encore the next time up, as he took one off the top of the wall in right by the bullpen of all places. The pitchers to whom he would be waving farewell. He almost hit one right into their laps. Mike Lamb pinch hitting, and there are 2 outs left in the 2002 season. The Jermaine Dye grand slam, the difference in the game. Rangers heading towards their 90th loss unless they turn this thing around immediately. That would be a game back of what they had last year. They were 73-89. They could end up 72-90. And we talked about it, Tom. The season started miserably, going 3-11. It will end with the Rangers, it looks like, going 3-13.
And then a tough stretch of games on the road. All the teams the Rangers played were in contention for playoff spots. Rangers, of course, had some injuries. They had young kids in the rotation. It was a tough road trip. Rangers were a little bit understaffed, so to speak, for those 10 games.
You saw Jerry Narron watching on. He knows nothing confirmed right now about his future. Obviously, he's hoping to be back. We hope he'll be back. But there has nothing been said definitively about what's happening with Jerry. Mike Lamb works the count to 3-2. Got dealt a tough hand this year. The injuries really for his second straight year. The only 2 years that Jerry has been a major league manager. The 2 years that the Rangers set records for players on the DL. It's funny, Tom, when you look at the list of players on this year's Ranger team. I mean, you go back and you talk about how long a season can be. You forget about some of the guys that have been around. I mean, when's the last time we talked about John Rocker? Not to mention the Steve Woodards or Chris Mahaliks. Lamb dunks one into center field. He's on. And Travis Hafner will come up and hit for Ruben Rivera. I mean, guys like Jason Romano and Calvin Murray, Ryan Ludwig, Gabe Kapler, of course, did not finish the season with the team. Rob Bell, Doug Davis. Remember, Doug started out 2-0, had a league-leading ERA at the end of 2 starts. Hideki Arabu had that great stretch out of the bullpen before faltering.
Yeah, when you start looking at the season in that type of perspective, it does seem like a long season. You can't even remember some of those games.
Rusty Greer ended up hitting .293, but didn't get a chance to play in too many games. The injury bug biting down on Rusty again. And unfortunately, that's probably how the 2002 Rangers will be remembered, as hurt. But in such a competitive division, I mean, all things really had to go just right. You knew the A's were going to be very tough again. The Mariners came down from 116 wins, but not down enough for the Rangers to catch them. And the surprise team, the Anaheim Angels, are going to their first playoff since 1986. The Rangers did manage to catch and throw the ball pretty well this year. They'll have the second best fielding percentage in the history of the team. Looks like they'll finish with 99 errors. Outside corner to Hafner, 3-1. These Oakland A's will surpass what they did last year. They were 102-60 last year. They'll be 103-59 this year if they hang on. But now Hafner is on.
Well, Koch obviously likes to throw a lot. Artie Howe likes to get him a lot of work, but I don't think he wants him to throw 25 or 30 pitches today. Got an off day before the playoffs start, but I remember coming into this series, he had thrown a lot of pitches. And then in the first game of this series, he also threw a lot of pitches. So I don't think you want to see him throw 30 pitches today.
Let's see, how about this script? Young hits one out of here. Perry gets on, then A-Rod, a walk-off, game-winning 58th home run of the year, 300 batting average. Fairy tales do come true. They can happen to you. 0-1 the count to Young.
Well, 3 people need to get on base for Alex to hit. We got 2 right now and only 1 out.
The planets do need to do some aligning here. Wouldn't that be some way to end the year? How about that? Right field, a base hit for Mike Young. Lamb coming in. It is 2-1. The tying man is going to be Herbert Perry in the 9th inning.
Billy Koch came into the game, the first game of this series, and really had to struggle to keep the game in the A's favor. He's still got a little leeway now, but it's getting pretty close.
Mike Young, a 2-hit day. His batting average for the year will be in the mid-260s. And all Herbert Perry has to do here, Tag, is avoid hitting into a double play, and that will get Alex Rodriguez to the plate again. One last shot at that 300 average.
Well, if Alex had made an out his last time up, it probably wouldn't have mattered because 1 for 5 wouldn't have done it.
Right.
The walk gives him a chance to get to 300.
Take that, Micah Bowie. Well, Herbert Perry has had a fine year, kind of lost under the avalanche of publicity for A-Rod and Palmeiro and Pudge. But 22 home runs, 77 runs batted in. 1 ball, no strikes. Rangers have come from down 8-2 to within 8-5, tying man at the plate. What better a gift to all these fans on Fan Appreciation Day to reward them for their loyalty with a comeback against Billy Koch in the 9th. Chop ball foul. Some of the Rangers staying in town for a couple of days. Some are heading right out. Some staying here, as we talked about, long term. Guys that have homes in the area. Herbert Perry will be heading back to Mayo, Florida soon after the season is over. The 1-2. We'll do it again.
Well, Art Howe's not going to let Koch stay out there too much longer. He's got Mike Venefro warming up in the bullpen.
Yeah, like you say, this was supposed to be just a little stay warm session for Billy Koch. The A's and the Twins play on Tuesday.
I think what he would have loved is a 1, 2, 3, 14 or 15 pitch inning.
Rip, and down he goes. That's the bad news, but the good news is, for one last time, here comes A-Rod.
The other side of it is they probably watch Billy pitch all season long. They know how durable he is. He's still throwing 96 miles an hour, so he's not tired, that's for sure.
If Alex hits it out, it would not be a walk-off winner. It would be a game tire in the 9th inning. Alex would become the 3rd right-hander ever in the American League with 58 home runs. And again, the 300 batting average hangs in the balance here. A hit, and he's got it. Billy Koch at 97 miles an hour, right near that number 3 on his jersey. It's 0-1. In many ways, the Rangers are all about this man at the plate, Alex Rodriguez. Maybe it's appropriate that he is at the plate right now with 2 outs in what could be the last inning played this year. 0-2, another 97-mile-an-hour heater from Koch. There's the last day-o of the season. And you don't want this to be the last pitch. Looking for a tie game and home run number 58 from Alex. Fly ball, right center. It will drop. It's a 300 batting average, and 2 runs are coming in. Boy, does he have a sense of the dramatic? The count was 0-2.
He wanted that. You can tell by his reaction out there.
That is playing the game right, too, boy. 300 average coming in, and he chanced that 300 average by playing today. The A's pitched him away all day, walked him in the 8th inning. The Rangers rally here in the 9th. Get him that last opportunity. And he drops it on the warning track in right center field. 2 more runs batted in. And a 300 batting average for 2002.
Well, Billy Koch challenged him with fastballs. He threw 2 97-mile-an-hour fastballs by him. And then he tried to throw one letter high, a little bit out of the strike zone, elevate it, tried to get him to swing and miss in another. But Alex made a little bit of an adjustment, got on top of it, lined it over Burns' head in center field, got a couple of RBIs and hit 300. And I don't know that there was too many hits that Alex had this year that were more satisfying to him than that one.
No question about it. Against the Oakland A's, too. That's certainly a rival. They're going to put on Rafi. And maybe this gets cast in the ironic mold as well. This would have been Pudge's turn to bat. And a chance for a walk-off winner. Instead, it's going to be Todd Green.
I don't think the fans could have taken another one. They gave it all to Pudge today. I don't know that they had anything left.
Well, remember Todd Green's flair for the dramatic, too. He has already had 3 walk-off hits, including 2 walk-off homers as a Ranger. They'll be asked to supply another one. Pudge's replacement, and we say that in the microcosm just today. We're not saying anything about next year necessarily. Although, again, that's been the question that everybody's been asking all week. Will Pudge be back? Donnie Sadler's going to pinch run, and I hope the fans will reward Palmeiro for a great year, too. They will. Rafi comes off the field. Tom, all his life, he's been deep in the shadow of Hall of Fame players, whether it's Cal Ripken, Andre Dawson, and obviously here in Texas with Pudge and with Alex Rodriguez. Nice to see Rafi get his due.
I think anytime you hit 43 home runs, knock in 105 runs, you've earned your due. There's no doubt about that.
It has already been a very heartwarming day. This will be unbelievable if Todd Green can step up here and win the game.
Billy Koch will have given, if he gets out of this inning, 5 runs in his 2 outings against the Rangers going into the playoffs. Todd Green belts one in the gap. He'll end up giving up 5 today, 2 days ago, which I don't think is exactly how you want to go into the playoffs, although that starts a whole new season. Nevertheless, I think everybody likes to finish strong.
Pudge looks like he wants to run on that field one more time and slap people on the helmet, you know. He is absolutely savoring this, it would appear. Winning run at first. Green airs it out. It's 1-2. There's that smoke again from Koch. A mid-30s 9th inning pitch count for him. And tag, we are down to the last strike of 2002. A fly ball, shallow left. Season is over.
Man, that was a tough pop-up.
And 2 runs would have scored had it dropped. That would have been the ball game. Well, Pudge, it was memorable. It was fun. But your final score today, the A's 8, the Rangers 7. We'll have some parting comments after this on Fox Sports Net. Well, all year long, it's been about heightened expectations, but not quite getting it done. The Texas Rangers didn't quite get it done today, but boy, they sure made it exciting, and maybe that too sums up the calendar year 2002. Josh Lewin, Tom Grieve, and well, I tell you what, Tag, my first season of Ranger baseball, I know there have been better ones, there have been worse ones on the field. I can't imagine a more fun time, though. It was awesome working with you. I look forward to doing some more of it next year.
Well, it's very nice of you to say that, Josh. Likewise from me, too. And I think even though it wasn't a great season, wins and losses, there were still some great things to watch this season. Anytime you have a chance to watch three players like Rafael Palmeiro, Pudge Rodriguez, Alex Rodriguez, and the incredible things they accomplished, which kind of culminated with today's game, which, even though it was a loss, was an incredible game to broadcast and to see. Thank goodness we were here to see Pudge's last game and what he accomplished today. There have been a lot of things to cheer about, a lot of exciting things, and next year will be a better year.
Those were live pictures that you saw and you are seeing right now. You talk about a team that is not eager to have a season come to an end, even though it was a 90-loss season. Kenny Rogers doesn't know if he'll be back. Bill Hasselman, no such assurances. Even Jerry Narron isn't completely sure what's going to be happening for 03. Obviously, Pudge, the big story today. We don't know if he's coming back, but if this was the last act for Pudge, it sure was something to watch today.
It was great to watch. I'm glad I was here.
Glad to be working with you, partner. Thank you.
Thank you.
For everything. Thank you. The fans make it go. We've said that all year, and they sure did today.